gonna start cussing that much because Ron, I ought to kick your ass, man. Man, I messed up to start the show, man. Ron, you said,
you shut down, yo.
You messy.
I told y'all I was firing it up. What, y'all thought I was lying?
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah,
man, what's up with y'all today?
Chilling.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, feeling good. Got a lot of content stuff I want to get out of the window. I'm off today. I can't lose, to be honest. I feel pretty good. I'm sorry.
Okay, you said you got a lot of what?
Content things to map out today, so I'm excited.
Okay. Where can we find your work at? Where can we, where can we get more gifted?
I have a podcast right now where during the off season, I'm breaking down all 30 teams on Mondays and Thursdays. Gifted Hoops on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also YouTube. So those are the places you can find me. And also Twitter. Sometimes I host spaces during the games. Last night I was watching the game. I hosted some spaces and also some YouTube live streams to really talk about basketball during the game. So that's where you can find me.
It's called X now.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It is called X now because Elon Musk is ruining the app, sadly. But yeah,
it's called X. Shout out to X.
Yes.
Facts. Yo, what's good, Ox? How you feeling today?
So life is grand. I'm enjoying myself this morning already.
Ticket TV, what's the word?
Man, you know what's up, man. Different day. Let's get it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Chilltown, you good?
I wish Shiloh here this morning, because we gotta get back to that bull. Which they was talking about yesterday. I want to get back on that.
Hey, Chilltown, that's a fact, bro.
25 players in 2009, 2010. That was some bullshit.
You can hear?
That's some bullshit.
Hold on. Chill.
Y'all can hear Chill?
Nah, he's kind of cooked. A little bit.
Nah, Chill was saying that stuff Shiloh saying yesterday in Pirate was capped, and I hope he did bring him back up here. That man said Chris Bosh wasn't even a top 20 player in the league in 2009, 2010. But every ranking in the NBA had Chris Bosh between 1 and 12. Every power ranking for 2009, 2010, whether it was ESPN, Bleacher Report, Yahoo, everybody had this dude as one of the top 10 to 15 players in the world. So I don't understand then how we go from that to now saying he wasn't even one of those guys. Come on, man. We can't do that, bro. We got to keep it solid, man. Chris Bosh was an animal. He had to change his game, just like every superstar have to do whenever they go play with a super team, especially if you're the third option. If you're the third option, your game gonna change. But to say Chris Bosh wasn't, based off what we saw that season and based off of how he was ranked, and that year he was tied 12th in MVP vote, and everybody laugh and say, "Oh, 12th, bro." That's 12 out of what? Almost 500 players in the NBA, and he was only in year 6, year 7. That's great. So the path he was headed on was a upward trajectory, and that's what I was saying. And they was making it sound like it was ridiculous, bro. I don't understand that. That's a thing that I was talking to Chilltown about last night. Me and Chill, after the show, we talked about that last night, and we didn't get that. We didn't understand why guys like didn't think that Chris Bosh was on that level in 2009, 2010.
Ticket. It was when you said that he had an opportunity or that he was going to be an MVP candidate.
No, I said he was on a trajectory. Hold on. He was on a trajectory to becoming a real MVP candidate. Bro, listen. That's how it goes.
I agree with you, though. I agree with you. Keep in mind that next year, Derrick Rose won it. And that's no knock to Derrick Rose, but if you look at his splits and then turn around and look at the splits that Chris Bosh was putting up, they were similar. Now, Mars, I see what you're doing. But obviously, you have to be on a winning team, especially around that time. But you never know the pieces that they could have put around him in Toronto. Toronto could have not a big name free agent. They could have got somebody and been a top 3 team in the East.
Yeah.
That what are we looking at?
Stop right there, Ron. Peep what I said, though, bro. I said, what did the Raptors was known for doing? They did put together good teams. They just wasn't winning no championship or going to the finals until they got Kawhi. But they was putting together teams that was going to the conference finals. So I'm saying if Chris Bosh was your man and you was building around him and then they start winning those same 57, 58 games, he's going to be 55 games. He's going to be an MVP conversation. He's
but that was like 7 years later, though.
No, you're not hearing me. I'm talking about if he
Ticket,
would stayed.
I am hearing you.
No.
Trust me.
I'm saying no. They rebuilt.
I just want to give like a just kind of a different point of view though. Like
I'm saying they rebuilt.
I know what you're saying. I'm saying I agree with you as far as Chris Bosh's ability. I think he was probably somewhere between 8 and 16. I think he was much higher than Pirate said, but maybe a little lower than you saying. You know, I think he was there.
But everybody understand what I was saying though.
Well, not everybody. A lot of people were.
No.
I remember. No, I'm saying what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Ticket. I'm saying a lot of people were. I'm confused as to where people are acting like Chris Bosh wasn't in some of these conversations because he most definitely was. Chris Bosh was getting busy.
Can you hear me, Ron?
Yeah, I can. Good. He was getting busy, bro. He was getting busy in Toronto. That's without a doubt. So he definitely was nowhere close to 30. But at the same time, saying if I say he's not top 10, that's not egregious for me to say that. I think it's okay. I think it's okay for us to have a different point of view. Without
I didn't say that. Hold on, y'all gotta.
Hold on. I'm not doing nothing. What I'm saying is I'm trying to let you know how much I agree with you on this statement, but I can see where other people are coming from. My thing is, just because Chris Bosh was doing what he was doing, that doesn't mean he was necessarily going to become an MVP. But he could always been out there on that. You know?
Listen to what I said. Hold on. Listen to what I said, bro. See, y'all take words I say out of context, and that's what I was telling Chilltown. I said if he would have stayed the way his career was going, he was on the trajectory. Mm-hmm. If you look at the other guys who won MVP awards, some guys didn't just come in the league winning MVPs. Their career went on a trajectory towards winning that. So I'm saying when he went to the Heat, that cut off that trajectory because he had to fall in line in order to be on a team that was going to win multiple championships.
That's 100% true. Ticket. That's 100% true. But what I'm saying is, even if he would have stayed in Toronto, Chris Bosh would never winning no damn MVP.
You don't. Hold on. You can't know, bro.
I think he was good enough. I think he was good enough. But a lot of people are good enough don't win MVP. Chris Bosh never win no MVP.
No. Just check this out. What was he? 24-11 or 12?
I don't know.
In 09-10, he was 24-11.
Hold on.
24-11.
I'm finna blow him out the water.
25. At 25 years old.
You don't gotta blow me out the water, bro.
Hold on. Because I got ether. Hold on. I got ether to what you said. What Ron said. Hold on. What Ron said earlier. And then let me ask you this. What was KG averaging the year he won MVP with Minnesota? They was winning 50-some games.
Chris Bosh was never on that level.
You're not hearing me, bro. Listen.
I heard you.
Hold on. I want to say this to you again.
I don't think it's got to be an
argument. Hold on 1 second, Bob. KG won MVP winning around 50 to 55 games. All I'm saying is this. From what Toronto had showed us, Toronto drafted well, and not only that, they were able to put solid pieces around players. I'm saying if Chris Bosh would have stayed, I believe the team would have been a better team. I believe they'd have been around. They would have got to being around a 50 to 55 win team with Chris Bosh. That would have put them.
When you were talking about how they start getting the conference finals and stuff. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that like 2016? Maybe 15? No, 15.
No, you're not hearing me. Hold on. Listen, hold on.
But that was 6 years later, though. This is
hold on. Bob, I swear to God, you're missing my point, bro. Listen, here's my point right here, bro. They had already went to the playoffs twice with the dude, right? Now, they had missed the playoffs a year before he left. But I'm saying Toronto always showed the knack to be able to build certain teams on the fly. I'm not saying that, it had to go the exact route it went. I'm saying with Chris Bosh, if he would have stayed, I think Toronto would have figured out how to get into contention with a guy who was as good as Chris Bosh. We are forgetting Chris Bosh was a lottery. He was a top 5 pick in the draft, bro. He was out here putting up KG numbers for 5 straight years in Toronto. He was doing some of the same stuff KG was doing. These is facts. Look it up. Go look up KG's career and look up Chris Bosh's career. KG ended up winning an MVP. What year did KG win his MVP? Chill.
2004. He was 24.
How many years was he in the league? How many years was he in the league?
That was year 9. That was year 9 when he won the league MVP.
So I'm saying that Chris Bosh was headed on the same type of trajectory. How was that Impossible. How was that cap? How was that something that somebody
that's not even close to a crazy statement, Ticket. That's I understand what you're saying. Like from that point of view, from that point of view, we can't argue that. I cannot argue that. I cannot argue that you're wrong for making that statement because those are factual stats. You know what I'm saying? I can't. All I'm saying is I think it's highly unlikely that he actually gets the MVP, but going to Miami definitely, most certainly stop that. Like he was never going to win. He was never going to win an MVP in Miami. Let me ask you a question. I don't think he was going to get it in Toronto.
Which, by the way, and hold on, Ticket, before you go any further, Ticket. Hold on before you go any further. Just so you know, Bob, the first year that he got to Miami, they had a stretch where they were running the offense through him early, right? And they were running the offense through him early. They were 15-1 when he led them in scoring. I just want to put that on your mind, Big Ox.
Well, I understand that. I do. I understand all of that. And Chris, and like I said, Chris Bosh, like as far as like Ticket said, as far as the numbers show, the stats show that he's heading towards that type of trajectory. Maybe being in contention for MVP by year 9, like Kevin Garnett was. But Chris Bosh was never gonna have control of a whole part of.
He wasn't going to be a franchise player like KG was. Fact.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Hold on, Ticket. He could have been a franchise player, but he was never going to be Kevin Garnett. He was not in Miami.
Come on. We got to stop this. Hold on.
Wait, is the separator the defense?
Hold on. Chill down.
The only difference is that Chris Bosh is
not. This is my thing. People had to go through Kevin Garnett to be greats, like especially in the West, you know, people had to go through KG. You know what I'm saying? In the East,
I'm annihilate this dude.
When nobody really.
Okay, so time out. So Bob, here's why you told Bob. Chris Bosh wasn't going to be in Toronto.
Hold up. Chris Bosh was not going to be in Toronto what KG was in Minnesota, and that's just because there was a different presence on the floor. KG was a KG. Yeah, but KG.
Okay, so here's why that was tough.
Hold on. You can't let me get 45.
You got it next. You got it.
45 interrupted seconds.
Go ahead, Big Ox. What you got?
Uninterrupted. I mean, when you talk about the stats, that's why I said that's facts. It's that trajectory on the stats. It looks that way, yeah. But if you talk about on the floor presence, KG and Chris Bosh it's not close to the same. Stat wise, yeah, I see what you're saying. But there was a dominance about KG that Chris Bosh did not have, and so he was never gonna be that. So he wasn't gonna get no MVP. But I see what you're saying. Like,
can I go down?
He wasn't gonna get no MVP in Toronto.
Where was the separator?
Hold on, chill. That's 45 seconds, right?
I don't know. Probably
now,
not.
I'm about to mock. Hold on. Now, I want everybody to witness this first degree murder right here. I'm about to mock the flow with this boy. Now,
this was premeditated.
First of all, what the hell did KG do in Minnesota until the last year? And they got Sam Cassell and Sprewell. He won an MVP and was losing in the first round every year, man. So what the hell is you talking about? He won an MVP winning 50. Hold on. Don't say nothing because I ain't cut you off. Don't say nothing. I ain't cut you off. I'm just going to burn your ass up like I do every single day. Now, what did he do? I'm going to repeat myself again. What did you said guys was having to go through KG in the West. Who? The man was losing in the first round.
Exactly. Because they was going through.
Hold on. I'm gonna say it again. He was doing the same thing Chris Bosh was doing in the East, basically, but he was getting beat in the first round all those years. KG career didn't take the legendary turn it was supposed to until he went and joined Boston. Guess what? But Chris Bosh went and joined the Heat and won 2 chips with the Heat. KG joined the Celtics and got 1 out of 2 finals. So if you're looking at it, the only separator you can say is the defense.
Was that because of Chris Bosh? Was that because of LeBron?
Hold on. But I'm saying this to you.
There's a difference between Paul Pierce and LeBron James, right? We can agree on that.
I'm not finished yet, sir. See, that's why y'all be unfair. Y'all tell me not to cut
off. Keep going, Ticket. Keep going, Ticket.
Y'all don't tell him don't cut me off. Again, this man said,
I'm saying, are we talking basketball?
This man said dudes was going through KG. Hold on. He said dudes had to go through KG in the West. Who? Right. The Negro was getting beat in the first round every year.
That's he exactly won MVP. Hold
on. What did KG do the year he won MVP?
What did he do? The year he was 20. He was 24 and 14 that year. He won.
No, I don't argue that. I'm talking about what did he win?
They went to the conference finals.
Oh, you mean as a crew? That was the first year. That was the first year that he got out the first round.
Hold on. So they finally put a team around KG after all those years, right?
Correct.
Okay, and when they put the team around him, he won the MVP, right?
Correct.
And they went to the conference finals, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so now hold on. So his whole career trajectory was headed upwards in Minnesota. Even though his team was losing, his career, his personal individual career was on the same path as Chris Bosh's. All I'm saying is what's to make us say that Toronto, who's proven over the time that they can put good teams together, they did it with Vince, they did it with DeRozan, they did it with Kawhi, and they even have a respectable team now that's, can make the playoffs and lose in the first round. But they're not just one of these bottom feeder teams in the league. I'm saying
that's 45 seconds.
Only thing I'm asking you this. What makes it impossible that Chris Bosh going on the trajectory that he was going, that they couldn't have put a team around him a year to enable him to get to a conference final?
Talk about what I'm talking about. I agree to all of that shit already. I'm talking about the difference between KG and Chris Bosh, not the difference between organizations.
Okay, but hold on. The difference was that KG got help.
The difference between KG and Chris Bosh.
He got help.
I was trying to bring it back to basketball.
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to do.
I'm not talking about.
I'm on basketball. I never stopped talking about basketball. I said the difference was that he got Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell because every other in the West.
You think Chris Bosh is comparable as far as skill set wise and basketball wise to KG? You think they're
Hold on. Tell me, hold on.
Chris Bosh is the it's crazy to make your point. You bringing up wins and losses.
The only separator was defense. The only separator was defense. That's it.
Facts, man. The only separator is half the game, man.
Oh wow, the main thing that made KG such a great, potent player in the league is the only separator, the defense. Oh, it's just the defense, guys. Only the defense.
Exactly. I mean, the game's about a bucket. So if the only difference is defense, I mean, they're basically the same. I agree.
This is what we kind of got thrown off the track here, right?
What
I want to get back on. We got thrown off the track.
I got you. It's 2-4.
Yo, the way Ticket play Victor is hilarious, bro.
We got thrown off. We got thrown off the track. We got thrown off the track. We got thrown off the track. Ticket said yesterday again, quote, Chris Bosh, it was a top 10, top 15 player in the NBA. Pirate said he was top 25. That is not true.
That's crazy.
Damn.
That is not.
Top 20. He said top 25.
You don't think Chris Bosh was a top 25 player?
No, I think he was a top 15 player that year.
Well,
I mean, if you're top 15, you're also top 25.
Mars is doing the thing where it's like, technically speaking, you're top 25, you top 50. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But you're definitely that he said he was like 18 to 26. He said if he thinks he's 18, like,
which is not true because you can't right now. I don't care.
I don't agree with him.
I don't mean you specifically, Mars. I don't mean you specifically, but I would like some legit logic from anybody with some sense to give me 18 players in 2009 better than Chris Bosh. You can't do it. You can't.
I'll try, but
you can't do it.
Yeah, you could try. I don't think it's.
You can't do it. You can't give me 15 players. You can't give me 15 players in 2009 better than Chris Bosh, even though he didn't make the All-Pro team that year. He didn't.
Kobe,
but he was 12th in MVP.
Let's make a list.
This is what I'm gonna do for you, Mars. Okay, Mars, I'm gonna do the same thing I did for Ticket yesterday. Mars, was he better than Bryant?
No.
How about KD?
No.
Dwight Howard?
No.
James?
No.
Wade?
No.
Carmelo Anthony?
No.
He was rated over Carmelo.
Yeah, but they were wrong. No.
ESPN was wrong.
No,
actually, Ticket. Before we carry on with Joe, I agree with what Ticket said about ESPN and all these people were saying Chris Bosh was ranked this highly. The same way they were saying that the big men in the NBA were at the worst in NBA history. When they were saying
I'm not.
I agree. I think that was.
I don't know why we're valuing ESPN at all.
I think that's proof.
Hold on. Basketball Reference was wrong. All these people was wrong when they ranked Chris Bosh between the top 12 and 15 players in the world.
They can be wrong, yeah.
We can do the players' choice ranking right now. Let's finish.
So we at 8 right now. I want to make sure I'm clear, fellas. We at 8 right now. So that's a no on Dirt. correct?
Y'all gotta remember that season.
Remember that season.
Okay, so Mars, I want to be clear. That's a no on Dirk.
Yep.
Okay, so Stoudemire.
Oh no, I got Stoudemire.
What?
I got Amari.
Chris Bosh.
I'll go with Chris Bosh. I'll go with Chris Bosh.
That's my opinion.
You'll take Chris Bosh. How about Darren Williams?
I got D-Will.
Okay, you're gonna take D-Will. How about Andrew Bogut?
He's so serious.
I got Chris Bosh.
Okay. How about Duncan?
Give me Timmy D.
Okay. How about Gasol?
Give me Pau Gasol.
Okay, you're gonna take this. So
it's easier than the Stoudemire one.
How about Joe Johnson?
Oh, give me Joe.
Was that he was in Atlanta at this point, right?
Joe
Johnson.
He
was in Atlanta.
2009. That's Joe Johnson.
Over.
They had that playoff series against Miami. Was it Miami? They played?
He had a way better team, bro. He had a way better team, bro. Okay. Bro, he had a way better team. And y'all not ranking players. Y'all ranking
in 2009. Hold on, Ticket. We ain't done, Ticket. Hold on, Ticket. In 2000 and in 2009, 2010. How about Brandon Roy?
They don't even know Chilltown. They not even watching the game.
So I got Chris Bosh over Joe Johnson and Brandon.
Okay, so that right there. So that's three guys. And just so you know, Mars, those three guys were all on the All-Pro team in the 09-10 season. Right. So that's the
CP3, Chilltown?
That, and I didn't get to him yet. I didn't get to
Chris Bosh.
I didn't get to CP3 yet. Nope. I didn't get to CP3. Let's see who else. When I'm thinking about the better players in the game. Let's see. How about Josh Smith? Was he better than him?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Gerald Wallace, was he better than him?
Yes.
Was he better than Rajon?
Yes.
Unfortunately, yeah.
He was better than Rajon Rondo, right? Okay. So
he wasn't even better than Kevin Garnett off a torn meniscus, but I guess. So
at this point, Chris Bosh is arguably a top 15 player in the game at that point.
Yes, arguably a top 15
so he's arguably a top 15 player. You could see if he was a top if you could see if somebody had him at number 11 or a number 11 that year, number 12, that was legit. You could see that.
I could see the argument for him being around 12.
Okay. And that's all the logic is at this point. And the issue that I had, and this was yesterday, this is the issue that I had when I hear about guys, because this is all Ticket's point was. This was in the 2009-2010 season. This wasn't over the course of his career. This is over the 2009-2010 season, right? What was he doing that year to make him a top 15 player? Well, even though they didn't make the playoffs, and what he had done up until that point, that's different. But up until that point in 2009-2010, a dude that's 24-10 during that time, it's very difficult for them not to be a top 15 player in the game. I would have Stoudemire ahead of him. I had Gasol ahead of him, but I had him around 12, 13, Chris Bosh. I think he was a bona fide top 15 player that year.
I think you can make the case he was top 15. I don't know. I'd have to hash out my own list and see where he falls. But I think you can make the case he's top 15. But I like I said, I do agree with Ticket saying that these publications had Chris Bosh ranked highly. And I think that is proof that they know what they're talking about. And that's why when they called the bigs trash in the 2010s, we should listen to them.
No. Not everybody said the bigs was trash. Hold on. Well, you're saying, Mars, here's what you're saying, right? You're being a jerk, but it's okay. That's what you are.
His troll bag, I swear.
And I'm gonna say, Mars, I'm gonna say this to you, bro. I'm gonna say this to you, bro. Because you wouldn't say that if never one of them dudes was standing in here in front of you. You wouldn't call Zebo trash. You would not say that. You understand?
And that's the thing. You see, but you see how you say people like don't listen to what you say.
Hold on, Mars. You would shut your mouth and put respect. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When the big men were trash, you're talking about dudes that are starting like JaVale McGee's of the world, the Clint Capellas of the world. You talking about the guys like the Kayvon Looney's. Hold on. Let me finish.
Hold on. Let me finish. Ron. He just gassing up JaVale McGee the last time.
Let him finish. Get it. I'm gonna let you get it.
He was just gassing up JaVale.
I'm talking about I'm talking about the Kayvon Looney's of the world. I'm talking about the JaVale McGee's of the world. I'm talking about the Clint Capellas of the world. When you have guys like that starting on NBA teams getting big minutes, the Steven Adams of the world, that's when the big man era was trash. When you have big men that was I'm talking about leading their teams, and they were playing through these guys, and these guys were averaging 20 and 10 on an all-out slate. You got AD in the league. You got Pau Gasol. You said Pau Gasol in 2014 was trash. Pau Gasol was 18 and 12, and he made the All-Star team with the Chicago Bulls in 2014. But you said he was trash that year. So I'm just saying, you had Pau Gasol, you had Marc Gasol. Hold on, you had Marc Gasol. You had all these great things. You had LaMarcus Aldridge, who was one of the top 10 scorers in the world that year, and Portland was a good team. I'm just saying, bro, when you saying that's trash, that is nowhere near comparable to the Kayvon Looneys, to the JaVale McGee's, to the Clint Capellas, and all these other big men who ain't really big men. They just, are rebounding and shot blocker guys like, just to, block shots and run the court. Those aren't real big men. I'm giving you real big men that was putting in work, getting buckets like Zebo, like Blake Griffin and all these dudes. These dudes were leading teams, leading franchises, and they were playing through these guys. So that you can't be trash if you had an era full of dudes like that.
Okay, it's interesting, like, you don't like people mixing up your words and then you mix up mine. When I said they were trash, I explicitly said relative to the other eras of big men, it being the worst big man era of all time is why I call it trash. Do I think Zach Randolph was a terrible player and he was trash at basketball? No. So would I say he was trash at basketball to his face? No, because I'm not even saying it behind his back, because I don't think he was a trash player. But when he is one of the predominant bigs of the worst big man era of all time, I'm going to call that era of bigs a trash era relative to the other eras. Does that mean they were all trash at basketball? No, I even said if an era of bigs is all mids, they're all mids players, that would make the era trash, because every other era of bigs had all-time great elite players. So if I call Zach Randolph one of the premier bigs at the time, and if you think he was, that would make the era trash, because there's not many eras in NBA history where Zach Randolph is one of the premier bigs. In 2014,
hold on, let me ask you one question, Mark.
Is not the standard of an elite big. Hold on,
I'm asking you a question. No, I'm asking you a question. No. I'm saying that year he was an all-star, averaging 18 and 12, and that was one of his best years since he left the Memphis Grizzlies. That's trash. He was 18 and 12 in Chicago that year in 2014. That's trash. So him, Marc Gasol.
He's not listening to me or not.
Hold on. Marc Gasol going to the Hall of Fame. He was in his prime in that era. Pau Gasol going to the Hall of Fame. He was still playing in his prime in that era. Zebo, he won't go to the Hall of Fame, but he was putting up great numbers over there with the grindhouse. Blake Griffin, he's probably going to the Hall of Fame. He was dominating in that era. Also, we can keep going down the list. LaMarcus Aldridge, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He was putting up 24 and 11. What do you mean you don't know? Blake Griffin's going to the Hall of Fame.
I'm saying I don't like. I feel like what you do is you listen to respond. Like you're just while I'm talking, you're not actually taking in what I'm saying. You're just waiting for me to shut up so you can carry on talking. Because if you listen to what I said, none of these questions you're asking me would be asked. You wouldn't be going on this little tangent to talk. But because you don't listen to what I'm saying, you're asking a question you already had before I had my turn. You was going to ask these questions before I spoke, whether or not I said everything you agreed with or not. You would have just said what you were about to say, because you don't care what I actually say. You have your little talking points you want to get off. So no matter what I say, I could say Blake Griffin was a GOAT, going to be in the Hall of Fame, and you still would have asked, well, was Blake Griffin trash in 2014? Because you already had your prepared statement. Because everything I said about everything I just said for the last 2 minutes would have answered every question you just had. But because you didn't listen, you're still asking the same questions. And I'm not going to take my time to answer it, because I'm going to be honest, it gets kind of tiring when someone just refuses to listen because they just want to talk and talk. So you know what, Ticket? You're absolutely correct.
You said Pau Gasol was trash in 2014. I'm going to put you on the short on my channel, because you said Pau Gasol
I already seen your video. Yeah, I'd already seen your video.
Hold on. You said that right or wrong? Did you not say Pau Gasol was trash in 2014?
Yeah, those words did leave my mouth.
Okay, no. You said Pau Gasol because I asked you about him specifically.
Yes, I said those words left my mouth. Yes.
So you did say he was trash. How can you be trash and you were an all-star and average 18 and 12? That was one of your best years since you left Memphis. That's all I want to know.
Once again, you just don't listen. But it's fine.
You said he was You said he was trash. Forget the era. I asked you, was Pau Gasol trash? And you said yes, he was.
And I'll explain. Relative to the eras of all-time great bigs, if Pau Gasol is one of the premier bigs in the NBA in 2014, doing what he was doing, how far he had fallen off on defense, and how he wasn't at an elite level anymore, even though he made the All-Star team. That says a lot, the fact that Pau Gasol in 2014 was considered All-Star caliber. That would make him a trash big relative to other eras where Pau Gasol is not considered a premier big man doing what he's doing in 2014.
What was the Bulls' record that year, Mark?
Let me look out.
In 2014, what was the Bulls' record? Pau went to the All-Star team and averaged 18 and
2014, they were 48 and 34. And
what place were they in the East? That's trash, right? That's trash, right? Hey, look. So you had a big man. You had a big man.
The Eastern Conference was trash. Yes, the Eastern Conference was trash.
No. I'm saying you're saying no. Okay, cool. So now we want to change the goalpost. All I'm saying is this, bro.
They were in the East. They were placed third or fourth.
Hold on. Mark, this is all I'm saying to you. This is why I disagree with you, homie, and respectfully. All I'm saying to you is that in 2014, 2013, all those bigs I named, 70% of those dudes going to Hall of Fame. 70% of those dudes are going to hold on. 70% of those dudes are hold on. 70% of those dudes are going to the Hall of Fame and were playing at all-time NBA levels that season. And I'm talking about Blake Griffin. I'm talking about LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm talking about Pau Gasol. I'm talking about
Pau Gasol was not playing at no
Ron is crazy.
He was 18-12 that year on the team that won 48 games and was third place in the East.
You didn't even consider him to be playing at all-time level when he was on the Lakers. But
that ain't the year.
No,
he made the All-Star.
When he left, hold on. That's it. Hold on. But two things can be true. He could have not been playing as great as he was the last year he was with the Lakers versus the first year.
You're talking about when he was winning titles. You said he.
No, I did not say that. I said he was. I said he wasn't greater than Kobe.
Okay, cool.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Can we please move on to Team USA basketball? This shit not going nowhere, and it won't go anywhere.
Man, go run over here. You are nobody, bro. You are nobody. You don't run nothing over here, bro. This is the problem with y'all who's like here up here. He can't keep running the program, bro. Be happy that you are.
No, I don't.
You don't run nothing over here, bro. So shut the hell up, man.
Bro,
hey, Ron.
Every time you make a basketball point,
I don't want to come on, Ron. I don't like bums like this coming on. He gonna run the show. Hey, Chill Town. That's what I was telling you about. Buffoons like this coming on the show, thinking he run the set when we don't build this. Wait
a minute. So I'm a buffoon for acknowledging that you're not contributing anything to the conversation right now. Rain ticket out again.
There goes all our views. Damn.
All right, well, I guess this would be a good time to read a couple super chats. We got new members in the house. Devontae just joined the party. Isaac Guillory, appreciate you for coming through. Toast the Goat became a member. Shout out to Toast the Goat. We got BBB became a member. Shout out BBB. Grande Jones said, well, Ticket's not here, but maybe one of you guys can answer it. He said, Ticket, who was Chris Bosh going to win MVP over? And wasn't KG also giving more blocks and assists than Bosh? What are we doing? Bosh was good. He wasn't no MVP.
He was Kevin Garnett.
Well, no, that's like on that what that super chat said. That's all I was trying to say. Statistically, Chris Bosh, I think statistically he added up. But as far as just on the court presence, the eye test, I don't think Chris Bosh was comparable to KG.
He didn't add up statistically either, just so you know.
No, okay. Well, I took his word for it, you know what I'm saying? So
like the points and rebounds. Well, the points, sure.
I mean, well, I will say though, like back in 08 though, I was big on Chris Bosh too. I thought he was gonna be, I thought he was a really good up and coming player. I've never put him on the same level as KG, but I definitely liked Chris Bosh's game.
I can understand.
He was definitely somewhere between 8 and 14, 16. You know what I'm saying? I think so, but that doesn't mean he was going to be MVP.
Yeah, if someone thinks Chris Bosh is on the same level as KG, I can understand why they would think the 2010s was a decent era of bigs with how badly they overstate some of these players. So I can understand.
I just don't like naming baseline stats to evaluate players. KG and the impact that he brought on the court on both ends is just different. The passing, the rebounding, and the defense. There are some things you can't measure with just stats. Like saying, oh, well, this guy averaged this and that, and he made the playoffs or not, is eliminating the context of the game of what basketball really is, I think.
If it's not in the box score, it doesn't matter.
Mason Plumley Enthusiast said, Ron, you got to do a hoop grid or Worldo. What that is. At the start of the episode, we'd love to see Mars and Jermaine's thought processes. Ticket rest. I will cook you.
Wordle is a game where you have to like type in the name of an NBA player, and then it tells you how close you were to guessing the random NBA player. So it'll be like you type in Nas Reed, and it'll tell you if the player plays for the Timberwolves or if they're in the Western Conference. If they're in the Northwest Division, how old they are, blah, blah, and you have to guess with the clues they've given you. Well, that's the NBA version. The real life version is just you type in a word and have to guess the word. but that's the NBA version of it.
Okay.
And Hoop Grid is just 9 players, and then it'd be like put a player that's played for the Lakers and the Rockets, or put a player who's played under Tyronn Lue and played for the Washington Wizards, etc. Yeah, there's 9 players, and you have to fill it out. And if you can get the more obscure players, you get a better score.
I seen something like that on TikTok that was doing it with football though. Yeah, I saw
that's what that is.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hey, appreciate the suggestion, Mason Plumlee's guy. We're gonna make something like that happen real soon.
All right. Leaf
Diggy said KG wasn't a better passer or playmaker than Bosh.
Do you know what playmaking is, Leaf?
No.
I think it was asking a question. No. I think it was.
He's saying it the other way. He's saying wasn't KG better in those things.
What's the difference in assists per game?
Either way, if you can't say it, if you only typing it, you gotta type it in the way that ask the question. No, next time, Leaf, so we know what you mean.
Eli the Misfit said KG overrated. He has deficiencies offensively, in my opinion.
Everybody has deficiencies offensively, so we can say everybody is overrated. So Jokic has deficiencies offensively too.
What deficiencies?
He's lessened those deficiencies. Last I checked, he don't shoot 100% on the long ball.
That doesn't make it a deficiency. That's like Steph Curry. No, that's like Steph Curry's a deficient shooter.
Right.
That's not a deficiency.
What do you mean it's not a deficiency, Mars? Are we talking?
Missing a shot doesn't mean it's a deficiency.
So what exactly does it mean?
A deficiency is a weakness.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are not weak in something, what are you doing?
Yeah, Jokic isn't a weak 3-point shooter because he shoots.
I didn't say he was a weak 3-point shooter. What I am saying is that he's not fantastic.
He's not perfect. Yeah, he's not. Right. Yeah, but that doesn't make it a deficiency. A deficiency is something that
it's not taken away from the offense when he shoots threes.
Yeah,
it doesn't take away from the offense when he shoots.
So it's not.
However, he's gotten better offensively. Yes, he has.
Yes. And now he has no deficiency.
He has gotten better offensively. 100%.
You shouldn't have ran to the 3-point shot for his deficiencies, Chill. But Jokic does have deficiencies offensively.
Okay, Ron, name one for
it. He does have things that I would personally like to see him do better, or things that he just can't necessarily do better. And you can say like just his finishing around the rim, or just listen to what I'm saying, or just his athletic ability to dominate around the rim, like in terms of somebody like the White Howard.
Can't play above
Mars. The reason why
that's a deficiency though.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, I can get with that. He can't play above.
Okay. The reason I said the long ball is because that's probably the weakest part of his game. Of all of his game, that's probably the weakest play. His ability to pass, his ability to score the basketball around the rim, his ability to get to the rim, his ability to manipulate the defense. His deficiency is the long ball because that's probably the weakest part of his game.
It says a lot when a 38% 3-point shooter is his weakest part of the game.
I kind of feel like your weakest part of the game, just because it's the weakest part of your game, doesn't by default make it a deficiency. It's just not the strongest part of your game.
I get that as well.
I would say.
Also, I would say about Jokic too, the one thing that I don't like is I think he should be more aggressive. I think he's too great not to be looking to score every time. Obviously, he's an elite playmaker and the offense runs through him, but I'd be like, Jokic.
That's fair.
As good as you are, bro, just go get to it.
I think that's fair. I
can't do that. And the reason why I can't do that is because that team is predicated on running the offense through Joker. With them running the offense through Joker, Joker's offense is predicated on these other dudes. What I mean when I say that is he gets Murray going. He gets KCP going. He'll start getting his offense when these guys don't have it going. If he goes for 40, if he goes for 50, if you notice, they lose most of the time when he does that. Yeah. So him being aggressive as a scorer, that's not really something that he's trying to do. I'm going to get Jamal Murray going. I'm going to get KCP going. I'm going to get MPJ going. And then that's going to open up my offense. That's going to open up my ability to score even more, as opposed to these dudes aren't doing anything. So now I got to do it all. So now when he goes for 45, he goes for 50. More times than not, they lose.
Chill. I think that's fair for you to say. However, like for me, it's specific matchups where like sometimes like if you remember when they play, I think it was the 76ers, right? Like how they will put PJ Tucker on him in like the fourth quarter. And like he had moments where it's like, okay, those are great passes for sure. But clearly, if you have that mismatch, you should be abusing that more. And sometimes he's just hesitant. But it's not a real talking point for me because in the playoffs, when it mattered most, what did he do? he dialed it up. He averaged 30 points per game. Like he was more aggressive when it called for him to be that.
Right.
But I do get you, Ron, because in a regular season, Jokic oftentimes like coast through just playing an overall game. But I feel like if it really, really matters, Jokic is capable and has shown that he can dial that up for sure.
Now, to your point about him dealing with Embiid and him going after PJ Tucker a little bit more. Well, that might be true, only except I got to deal with Embiid defensively. So that might deter my offense a little bit. Even though I got a smaller dude in front of me who I should be whooping his ass, only except I got this guy that's coming after me the entire game. Now, I probably could be more aggressive with PJ Tucker, but PJ Tucker is also beating up on Joker, right? PJ Tucker is also roughing up, and he's also roughing up Joker. Now, don't get me wrong, with him being a smaller guy, he still is roughing him up. Plus, I'm getting roughed up by Embiid defensively, so that may take away from my offense just a little bit more. As opposed to if I had to deal with Embiid and Embiid only all night long, I think that his offense would have been a lot different. I mean, because I think he went for like 24 and 11 in that game.
Yeah, that. Listen, he outplayed, and like people really don't talk about this, right? Obviously, for the entire game, Joel Embiid outplayed him, sure. But in the first half of the game, Jokic was dominant. And then in the second half, the adjustment was to put PJ Tucker on Jokic. Jokic wasn't aggressive enough on PJ. And then on the other end, Embiid just had the ball and really dominated, right? But it's just not a real problem because people often say, oh, well, the Lakers in the playoffs, they put Hachimura on Jokic. How are the Nuggets going to respond to that, change? It didn't matter. So, I don't know.
It looked good in the beginning. Sure, it did. It looked great in the beginning. But
it didn't last.
They got this figured out really quickly.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, so when you was hooping, because you said something a minute ago, and I always speak on this. I just want to know from your point of view. When you were playing against a guy that was, he was going to shoot a lot of shots. He's basically the best player. When you got a tough matchup with when you're defending that guy, does it in turn make it harder for you on the offensive end because you have to step up the defensive end? I
actually focused more defensively on whoever I was covering because I knew that I'm going to have to deal with this dude. And I know that at any point I could get my offense going. So like when I played in junior, when I played in junior college, I knew, and then when I played in college, I knew that I could score when I was in the specific system. Right. But I knew that I'm not going to go bucket for bucket with you. No, I'm not going to do that. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because I wasn't raised like that. Right. My attitude was I got to stand in front of you and I gotta at minimum slow you down. So that sometimes would take away from some of my offense simply because I'm focusing more on slowing you down. And once I slow you down, then I could get my O going.
Right. But do you feel like that was it's not an effort thing, but maybe like a fatigue thing? Do you feel like just because you had to step up your defense, did it make it harder for you to play offense?
No, actually it wouldn't. And the reason why, think about it from a boxing standpoint. You're an offensive player and I'm a boxer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be more defensive against you and I'm going to let you empty some of your tank. Once I recognize that you've emptied some of your tank and your rhythm isn't there, now offensively I can go after you. And that's kind of that's the kind of player that I was, where I would get cheap stuff like layups or run outs. And then now you running back on defense and you emptying your tank against me. So once now I get you in the half court and I get you one-on-one, now I can really go after you because I've had you on defense where I'm making it tough on you. And I'm not really that involved offensively. I'm not really that involved as a scorer.
Right. Okay. I see. I always felt that way, but I felt like when you're playing the defensive game, you score more in spurts, more like in run, run out, leak out, So it's kind of like on the stat sheet I might have similar to what I usually would have, but I also don't like the idea when guys say like, oh, well, if I have to play defense and I can't play offense too, I think you could play both ways. But
as Mars calls me the mid-range merchant, I would do stuff like that. As Mars calls me the mid-range merchant. So I would do stuff like that. I wouldn't exert a lot of energy early on the offensive end of the floor. We're trying to score where I would knock down a 15, 17 footer, but I would be more focused on slowing you down. And once I got you slowed down, then I would go after you.
All right, fellas, moving along into other super chats. Eli the Misfit also did become a member. Shout out Eli the Misfit. To Quay White says, stop letting Ticket lie. He wasn't on the Bulls in 13-14. He was still in LA. This man is up here just chatting and lying. Laughing my
He was
ass.
talking. He just misspoke about the year. So in the 14-15 season, when he was with the Bulls, he actually did make the All-Star team. Not only did he make the All-Star team, they won 50 games that year. So he just got the year wrong.
Team too.
They were damn good.
A good team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Derrick Rose got hurt.
Should have beat the Cavs, but the refs sold when David Black called a timeout. The Cavs didn't have, but it's fine.
Yeah, I forgot that Pau Gasol move from the Bulls. That was a power move. I remember when they picked him up. I was like, "Ooh-wee." Tay FYB said predictions for Giannis Antetokounmpo's stat line this year.
I think it's something similar to what it was this year. I think
it's not going to change that much.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be something like 31 and like 13, probably 6 assists. I think that those guys, now that the window is closing, I think the sense of urgency is going to be higher. And because the sense of urgency is going to be higher, I think you're going to see a lot of guys, even though they're older, Mars, I think you're going to see a lot of guys that are going to be sharper, because I think that the window on this team, I don't think that it's open that long. So I think that they're at a point where they're looking at this like, yo, we probably got this year, maybe next year to do it. So because we got this little bit of time, we got to be on top of our game. So I'm looking at a pretty similar line from Giannis. I'm also looking at him being possibly the league MVP, like 1, 2, or 3 in league MVP votes.
I just think for Giannis, the biggest thing from a stat perspective to improve on is obviously the free throw shooting. Like, just get that up to like, maybe 70%, maybe 69%, like just higher than what it is. That flaw in his game got exposed very badly this postseason. We've, all known that to be a thing for him routinely, but just improving in that regard can help make the team better, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Ox Mars, you guys want to chime in on predictions for Giannis stat line?
His scoring average should go down if he's used correctly.
You hate him on the basketball, Mars. I'm still trying to understand why. You hate him as much as you.
I don't like him on the basketball either, to be honest.
Mars hates him on the basketball.
Because he can't create for himself consistently in the half court.
Yeah.
So he should have the ball less in the half court. So his scoring average should go down because they should just not play through him as much as they do. So he should probably average like 26, 27. His efficiency would go up. So like 27, 13, and 6. And then people will say, oh, Giannis got worse, but he hasn't. He'll just be used differently. So that's what I think it should be. And that depends on if Adrian Griffin is intelligent and knows as much as me.
We're going to talk about this later when we talk. We're going to talk about this later when we talk about this. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. Yes, we are.
I do think that the way that his season ended this year, and then he said, because sometimes you would say something and people would twist it around. So when he made those comments at the press conference, I'm not sure if he meant for it to sound as soft as it did. So then people twisted it. And I think right now, Giannis is like on some war room type mentality. Like, I think he's going to come back this season on some terrorist type shit. Like, I feel bad for the NBA just playing against Giannis this year. I feel bad for everybody that has to match up with him. I don't think the Bucks are going to win a championship or anything, but it's going to be ugly for some people, especially at the beginning of the season. I'm talking about red rum.
Giannis is about to be.
Oh, it's about to be ugly. Like the way Giannis went out this season, getting hurt like that, and then not being able, when he came back, not being able to carry his squad. Like I've seen throughout his career, he takes stuff like that very personally. And like he gets in that gym and he comes back, and it's every year you can see he came back the one year looking like Superman, bro. Like and then just you see it on TV, but then when you like stand by Giannis, you see dude really is huge. They can't do nothing with Giannis.
Crazy
like Giannis is about to come back next year on some straight terrorist type movement. Like
those PEDs working, Mars.
If that's what it is, I need some of those.
They look like they're doing that thing, but Giannis is still in prime years. So if he's doing this in 6 years, then PEDs.
For a dude to put on like 50 pounds of diesel. I mean,
that's all vibranium right there.
That's suspicious. I agree.
That's pretty. Don't forget, when he showed up, he was 199 pounds. Giannis is easily 245.
His shoulders are the size of Mars' head.
And I'm not saying I'm trolling Mars right now, as you young dudes would say, but just saying.
Yo, me and Ox was standing next to Giannis. We was at this Blazers game. It was after the game. We in the post game section. All the players is.
How big is he legit, Ron? How big is he legit?
He made Ox. The way I look next to Ox is the way Ox look next to.
Oh wow,
Ox a bit of 6'8". Ox is a bit of 6'8".
But so how would Bama look next to Giannis?
Oh my God.
He should hire Bama to put lotion on his knees.
Hey yo,
that wasn't that bad. It could have been worse.
And by the way, he would be able to do it without bending. He would be able to do it without bending. He can just right there. He don't have to bend down or nothing.
But the thing is, his shoulders. He got the big, broad shoulders too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like his shoulders is like out here. You know, he's just big.
Right.
He was when we went to watch him play against the Kings back. And this is before he even filled out some more. He was making he's standing next to Willie Cauley-Stein, making Willie Cauley-Stein look small. Like,
ain't he a footer?
Yeah, I'm talking about just like kind of he's bigger, like built bigger shoulders. You know, you can't. It's nothing you can do. Like it's just nothing you can do. You could try. You gonna die trying to stop him.
One thing I do want to talk about with the Bucks. And then we gonna get into a couple other things. Y'all obviously know we finna get into this Team USA.
Yes.
We also got a segment where I want to ask you guys how long will these teams' championship windows last? And I got a list of teams, and I want you guys to let me know how long do they have. But no, I'm not gonna ask this question. I'm gonna wait till we get into that because I was gonna talk about Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday and I guess essentially their championship window. So I'll wait for that till I ask that. But I'm gonna read a couple more super chats, then we're gonna talk about this game for real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Eli the Misfit said, "Chill." That was nasty, my brother.
Yo, you dudes what I notice about you dudes is, and I know I'm a little bit older, but you dudes so uncomfortable in your own skin, man.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta fight through the screen, bro.
You dudes are so uncomfortable in your own skin, man. I'm the type of dude who could recognize. For example, I still got to get my measurements from Bob. Bob showed me a picture of him in a suit. I'm like, that's a good looking brother right there. I listen to you dudes. Y'all like chill. Pause. So I'm comfortable enough in my own skin to recognize when a man put a suit on and he looked good, I can recognize that. Yo, that's a good looking brother right there. That's clean right there. You dudes are so uncomfortable in your own skin that you can't accept when somebody is either complimenting somebody or saying something that all of a sudden now you have to be overly masculine. Give me a break, man. Give me a break.
Yeah, they talking. See, even in the chat right now, talking about got to get measurements. Measurements for what? Like,
see what I'm talking about?
Nah,
see what I'm talking about? See what I mean?
What is they measuring?
Y'all check out Self-Maker Tour. He's 21.
My man Bob is a tailor. Just so you guys know, my man Bob is a tailor. Okay. Yes, he is a tailor, and he makes suits, and I want to get involved in that. So
much respect to you, Bob.
I was when I seen him at PC Weekend, we were so busy that we wasn't able to get around to it, but. I'm in the market for a couple suits, and I wanted to get. I saw the stuff that he was making, but he had his measuring tape, but we just couldn't at that time because we was just so damn busy. We were so damn busy. But I do want to do that, and I'm interested in copping a couple of suits from Bob. So he was supposed to measure me at that time, and we weren't able to do it. But at some point, we're gonna get around to it because I am in the market for that. But if you let these dudes sell it,
I might just have to come down there. I might have to fly down there and take care.
I'm just saying, man. And if you let these dudes tell it, you measuring what, and like it's a lot of goofy logic. That's because you dudes.
That's all right, bro. We know what you mean. We know what you mean, bro. It's cool.
That's all.
Yo, y'all wild during the chat section. Shout out to chat. Y'all really make the show for real. Nobody up here makes the show like you guys.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be who we are without you guys. Big said Ticket always acting like a diva. Bad vibes for the show. Dude got 100K subs but can't get. Yeah. All right. Yeah, appreciate you for sending that super chat through. Drink More Water said how many players in NBA history were called the best player in the league that were at best average on defense?
Barkley.
Is that the prerequisite to be the best?
Barkley, Magic. Let's see.
Depends on who
Nash, Joker.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Right now.
Let's see. Who else am I thinking about? Curry.
It's not that
like,
many you can name.
Yeah, for me, it's like maybe 3 or 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta say Magic, Jokic.
I'd say Magic,
Steph.
Jokic, Steph. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever consider Steve Nash or Charles Barkley the best player in the world.
No.
There was some people in the early 90s, mid 90s, early 90s.
I didn't think now be clear,
they
Mars.
wouldn't say obviously not better.
Yeah, I'm not saying you thought they were the best, but they had
right.
This was, even though I didn't believe it, there was a conversation in 1993 of who the best player on the planet was when Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns went 62-20 and he won the league MVP. This started a conversation that is Barkley the best? He was the best player on the Dream Team. They had said it, and then it fast forwarded to 97 when Malone won the league MVP. Is Malone better than Jordan? I was like, no, that's not going on. But there was some conversation about that. And this is what happens when you win the league MVP. There is, especially when Steve Nash won it in consecutive seasons. There was some conversation. Is Steve Nash the best player in the NBA? I'm thinking, no, he is not. But the fact that he won the league MVP in back-to-back seasons, it kind of made things a little bit tricky.
Yo, chill.
Should have been 3 straight, but that's fine.
Charles Barkley was the best player on the Dream Team?
Oh, absolutely. That's confirmed by Magic. That's confirmed by a bunch of other guys on the crew that he was their best player. That was confirmed by
He
that.
performed the best?
He played the best.
There's a difference. There is a difference.
I'm just trying to clarify.
He was not better than Jay. He was not. I don't think he was better than Malone, but he performed the best
on that team, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Ethan Hines said, "How would Bama look next to Wemby?"
He could lotion Wemby's ankles. He said Giannis knees, he hit the Wemby ankles.
Like he dwarfed Giannis, by the way. Like him, he's significantly taller than Giannis.
Significantly taller than Giannis, yeah, which is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how he just looks on the NBA floor.
Like a bust.
I gotta go to a game. I gotta go to a game to see him play. Got to.
Yeah.
Not much to see.
I know the schedule about to come out.
Oh, word? Okay.
Yeah,
I
think I told you. Oh, matter of fact, I was talking to you about that, Chitchat. The lady from the Blazers tried to bamboozle me to get the season tickets before. I told her, I said, no, I don't think Dam's gonna be there. She said, no, he had a meeting with the general manager. I guarantee.
Very smart.
Bro, I'm telling you, 3 days later, they said he wants a trade. And then she called me back the other week. I said, I've been waiting to talk to you.
You almost got me. You almost got me.
I said, I've been waiting to talk to you. She said, oh, well, I hope he does stay. I said, no, we can talk in a couple weeks, man.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
See, if she was really good at her job, she would have hit you with something like, oh, man, I just seen Dame the other day. They just doing that for publications and stuff.
He was just in here yesterday. Matter of fact, he just left.
That's crazy.
Teddy Hart said, is there any top 5 players in the NBA that you believe still hasn't peaked yet? Let's even go top 10.
Jason Tatum.
It would be Tatum, probably the first name you think of on that list.
That's exactly who I was going to say.
So y'all think JT's going to get better still?
I hope so.
I would hope so.
Like just what type of aspects? What in this game?
Decision making, mid-range game,
ball handling, finishing at the basket.
So there's a lot to be honest.
I think skill set wise, if he doesn't get any better skill set wise, but gets better at that decision making that you said, Mars, I think that's a big jump right there. So I
think that's fair, Bob.
I can agree with that. Luka Doncic as well. The chat's saying Luka. I would like
to. You know what I would like to see from Jason Tatum? I would like to see him finish at the rim a little bit more. I don't really see him punch it on guys as much. This dude's 6'9",
and like his mid range could also be better too.
I think it is. That's the thing, though, Gifted. I think it is. I just don't think he goes to it. I think that's the difference. I think that he falls in love with the long ball, and that's largely due to the way the Celtics play.
Yeah,
I think that's largely due to the way the Celtics play. If he played more in the mid-range, and not just played more in the mid-range, I think that if he was effective more in the mid-range, plus shooting the long ball and finish better at the rim, I think we're talking about a top 3 player in the game for the next 5
I don't want to get
years.
too analytical here, but I feel like a big part of why Tatum played more so like paint and 3 this year was because their head coach really prioritized those, areas on the offensive end. Tatum for his career, though, has never been like a proficient mid-range guy, but he definitely has the capability to be a good mid-range shooter. He just has to really diversify his shot profile. I just feel like you have to make a choice. It's either, okay, I'm going to get to the basket, I'm going to go to my floater game, or I'm going to curl off and try to, hit the mid-range. Only doing threes and, paint shots in the playoffs, that mid-range shot is the difference maker for a lot of elite caliber players. So
I think that's the difference between like guys like Curry. Like if there's no in between, like Curry shoots it in the mid-range. Curry shoots it off the dribble. But because he's so good behind the long ball line, that you can negate all of that other stuff because he's so good. Well, the thing with Jason Tatum, he's not that good. No, he's not that good behind the long ball line. So you got to supplement that, my man, with number one, taking less shots at the long ball line. Number two, getting in the mid-range more and using your size, because the majority of the guys who cover you when you get switches, when you 6'9", 6'10", when you get in switches, I watched them on Christmas when he had Drew Holiday on him and he was a 2-dribble pull-up on Drew Holiday. I'm thinking to myself, man, you get that in your game on a consistent basis, plus knocking down the three, you'll be impossible. You will be impossible.
Chill, he just doesn't go to it.
That's the problem.
In college, even in a little bit in high school too. That's what I thought Jason Tatum's game was. I thought his game was all mid-range.
Yeah,
I didn't know
he was good at college.
Just fall back on a three-point line like that. I thought he went to the rim a lot more.
Right.
It's like ever since he's gotten to the league and the better and better he's got, the more and more you settle.
I just feel like every year we see Tatum get stronger, and that helps. But his finish, like, I feel like, okay, if you're not going to take any mid-range like that, and it's mainly going to be 3-point and paint, you either have to improve yourself in the paint to a high level or become a 40% volume 3-point guy. One of those areas you have to address, or get to the free throw line more, which, to his credit, he did get to the line way more this year. So,
But you guys all think Luka's peaked? And what's good, Young Africa? How you living today?
I do.
Look, what up, PC? I'm chilling, man. What's up?
I do.
I think that's a tough question, Ron, because I think in terms of how he could improve, like, there's so many places in his game where he could improve. However, in terms of like raw output in terms of stats, I mean, he's already averaging like a 32-point, triple-double. At this point for him, it's mainly getting himself in shape more to play more games, play different types of ways, and potentially becoming a more efficient 3-point guy. Outside of that, like, I don't really see his game really changing that much as he, goes. He's really good.
Your game doesn't have to change for you to improve. Like Mars even said earlier that Giannis can average less points and be more efficient and better. That's what I'm just trying to figure out how over the next 10 years that Luka doesn't get better.
He's gonna hopefully he adds the off-ball game. Can play without the basketball. Is able to be a proficient spot-up shooter. Defensively, maybe he isn't just a complete turnstile on that end. Maybe.
Mars, what do you think he could do better defensively? Like, is it POA defense or is it awareness?
POA, I don't think you're ever going to get much just because his foot speed is just so bad. But his awareness, just being face cut, being back cut, his activity on the weak side, like, he clearly is cerebral enough to understand.
Mars, I'm actually getting sick listening to you talk about this dude.
No, that's facts, though.
He should at least be a better team defender or like a better communicator.
Yeah. He has to be better off the ball.
Yes, those type of things, yes. But
let me ask you two a question.
Maybe he can become a better transition player as well. Because
since you brought that up, Mars, what constitutes all of that stuff in terms of being good at it? What constitutes that stuff? Like you said, being aware.
I hate to say this word.
For a guy like Luka, I think the lack of awareness is down to his effort and willingness.
It's
effort. There it is, Mars.
Yeah, I think
it is effort. I didn't want to say it, but it absolutely is.
You can't be that cerebral as a basketball player and just be unaware of teams' defenses, teams' offenses. You can't be. That's just him. I just don't think he wants.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, Mars. I got animated because all I'm thinking about is I can teach you footwork. I can teach you all of this other stuff. Drop your ass. Get your feet moving. Get your hands busy. Period.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
He just does. I just don't think he has bought into playing defense, unfortunately.
I will say, though, Chill, part of that as well to me, though, is Luka getting himself in a better shape to be more conditioned to play both ends factors into that as well for me. Getting himself in like quality basketball shape to be able to commit on both ends is key, because for that Dallas team, he essentially, like, it's Luka ball for like the entire game on the offensive end. So it's harder for him to like commit and be tapped in like that when he's so, so instrumental to what they do offensively. But that's why, to me, adding Kyrie gives Luka more time without the ball, which gives you a window to either improve off ball defensively or contribute in other ways offensively. Like now his offensive load shouldn't be as high as it was before.
Right. And with that being said, him taking care of his body, I mean, that's not even a topic of conversation that we should have for an elite player in the NBA. That's number one. Number two, you guys know how I feel about a guy in year 5. This is probably who he is, right? So I'm thinking Luka moving forward, he may have a better season than 32. He may have a better season in the years down the line, but I think he's probably a 28 to 30 a game guy on average. I think he's probably a 28 to 30 a game on average guy. His ability to defend in transition, his ability to defend in the half court is everything that Mars just said. The one thing and the one thing only that needs to get better, because you obviously can do it. It's effort. That's all I'm asking.
That's fair.
Put some effort in it. Because as a recovery, the thing that I watch when I watch defenders, I watch your ability to recover, because in today's game, very similar to what the big man was back in the 90s, how good the big man was at offensively. So how do you recover when you get beat? And when I look at Luka, there's no effort to recover. He gets beat and he's out of the play. Very much like James Harden. He gets beat and he's out of the play. And that drives me nuts, because that makes your team, like Mars just mentioned, in terms of deficient, that makes your team so deficient defensively, because now it's 5-on-4 regularly. And that's what's killing us. The fact that, number one, you don't defend. Number two, you don't recover. A lot of the rebounds that you get aren't in traffic. They are in basically wide open spaces. The steals you get, I said, I'm on record saying this. If I'm playing 40 minutes, I'm going to get a steal. The second steal, if I'm on the floor for 40 minutes gifted, somebody's going to give me the ball.
Yeah.
I could get you another one if I'm playing 40 minutes.
But it's interesting. Let me ask you a question then, because
Sure.
I was listening to even Mars before saying like about Giannis minimizing his role. If the coach is actually on point, he will do that and it'll actually be better for the team. So if Luka does what we're saying he's doing, that sounds like easily one of the best players in the world. So do you think that coaches really do have the power to walk in and minimize the best player's role on offense to maximize the team? Do they have that power?
I think the context of who the player is matters a lot. Giannis, to me, like, people have to understand the way the Bucks won the title is by putting Giannis off of the ball and using Chris as their two-man game to close out basketball games, and Giannis as the screener was more impactful for the team, because when he rolls, he has the roll gravity, which opens up the floor for all of their spaces, right? His role on offense is not comparable to Luka, whose role is to bring the ball up, play make at a high level, score at a high level, shoot threes, get to the free throw line on a team that lacks major offensive talent. So the ask of what Luka has to produce offensively, both in the half court and transition, is significantly higher than what Giannis has to do, right? So to me, when you factor that, my question to Chill would be, how many players are like super dominant offensively to where like every possession they have the ball and they're the primary playmaking hub that play elite defense? How many of those guys are out there? It's only LeBron, maybe, for me. It might be more, but
LeBron 10 years ago.
Right.
Not now, for sure. Yeah. But like, that's why, because it's so hard to like bring the ball up for that much, run high pick and rolls, drive to the basket, play through contact, shoot free throws, shoot three. Like, for 48 minutes, it's very difficult to do. But again, when you add another offensive talent to a team, once that load chips away, you can apply that energy elsewhere to impact other areas of the game, I think.
Sure. And I recognize the fact that we play in a different era where defense is played differently, right? And offense is become more of a defense is more of a premium, and offense is definitely what's building the league to what it is now. However, I'm not asking Luka to be an elite defender. I'm not asking a lot of these guys.
Average.
That's all I'm asking.
Average.
That's
Yeah,
all
right.
I'm asking.
Yes.
I'm asking you to be at minimum average. It can't just be like and I use this reference constantly. It can't be a punch drunk boxer. I think I can hit you more than I can stop you from hitting me. Because when the playoffs start, what happens is that the game slows down. And the stuff that you were doing in January, the stuff that you were doing in February, where we were playing faster, teams now load up in front of you, and now you have to run offense. You have to run offense through them. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe Luka is responsible for a lot of other people's offense, which Dirk was too. If you remember in Dallas, I think he was responsible. But Dirk would do other things. He was an average defender, right? Dirk wasn't he wasn't terrible on defense. He wasn't that bad.
You might disagree with this, Chill, but like I feel like the season before this last one, Luka was showing signs of becoming a neutral defender. And then in the playoffs, down 3 games against the Suns, he wasn't that great. And then he picked it up towards the end. The problem you really have is not him playing defense good. It's being consistent on a night-to-night basis. Because I've seen Luka have games where it's positive, sure, but it's the consistency of bringing it every single night to every single situation. And I would attribute that to him not being in the best shape season after season when he's coming in, and B, like the size and the responsibility of what he has to do offensively. But I think this year coming up, based on having Kyrie Irving on the team, he should be able to improve. But the thing that we also have to talk about is the roster construction around Luka. If you look at the guys last season, their defense before trading for Kyrie was ranked 24th. And that's because the personnel wasn't, honestly that great defensively. So he doesn't even have like great help around him defensively to even make him look better. That's part of it too to me.
Well, 2 things. Number one, you just alluded to it. Of the season before last season, when you saw him as a defender. Well, one of the main reasons why you saw him as a defender is because he was in better shape 100%. Coming into the season. He was definitely in better shape. With that being said, he was responsible for a lot of their offense, but they also had perimeter defenders. You don't have to be elite. So Finney Smith, right, and who's the other guy? And Bullock. Finney Smith and Bullock. They were solid enough where they could hide Luka's deficiencies, right? So
even
when
Dinwiddie
you do it,
too, even Dinwiddie,
right, and Dinwiddie, they were solid enough where they could hide Luka's deficiencies. When I watch a guy like Luka defensively, I'm thinking to myself, you have to at minimum match what those guys are giving you. That doesn't mean you got to be the defenders that they are, but the effort that they bring, you have to at minimum match that. You don't have to be a great defender. I'm not asking you to be Sedrunas Marshalonis on the wing as a Euro. I'm not asking you to be any of that.
Just being considerate defensively. Know where you are on defense, right?
And you talk about Gifted in terms of the consistency. What would end up happening is some people would actually see Luka and they would see him play defense in stretches and say Luka's an underrated defender.
And they gas it. No, listen. That's the problem with basketball convos. Of like people will see small sample sizes and then gas it like that's the identity of the player. Like both things can't be true. No.
Well, this the thing though, Gifted. Like Chilltown was saying, we don't need you to be above par elite defender. What I need from you, Luka, I need you to close out. Yeah, I need you to close out. I need you to have effort to try to beat your man to the spot, turn him 1 or 2 times. You know what I'm saying? When you get beat, either recover or rotate. And then just when you off ball, just see man and ball. Just see man and ball. Keep your hands up on D. I don't need you to be an ISO defender and move your feet for 13, 15 seconds. I need you to beat your man to the spot 1 time and recover or rotate. I need you to see man and ball when you're not. And this is my thing. When you have a player. When you have a player that does these things, that dribbles the air out the ball on the offensive end, loses his man and doesn't show any effort on the defensive end, and then gains weight in the middle of the season.
That's
when you have those 3 things, that just shows a whole different level of arrogance. And every time he gets touched, yelling to the refs, that shows a whole another. That's just a new level of arrogance.
I think that's another area we got to talk about too.
Diva mentality. Yeah. So it's a mindset thing for Luka. Once he realizes, like, okay, I got to be really a team player. I got to be a leader. I got to show that I can sacrifice. Because the thing about it is, he's like a lot of these guys are well, this is my chance. I'm in the league right now. I'm in the prime right now. I need to get my stats. I need to get this. I need to get that. Well, if they sacrifice some of those things, maybe they can get a ring. Because that's what sacrificing is. Sacrificing is giving up something without the guarantee of getting something in return.
Yeah.
So he hasn't come to the point in mentally where he's like, okay, I might not get it, but I am gonna lose on these stats and whatnot. He has to get over that hill, and then mentally he can become a better teammate, a better player. But we don't know if that's gonna happen. You know, Jordan had to do it, Kobe had to do it.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I know Ron wants to transition to the Team USA stuff. I just want to say this last thing, Ron.
You got it.
I agree with what you're saying. I just feel like this upcoming season is the real tester, because what Luka had to contribute offensively last year to that team, especially considering how far they fell defensively, like that load was an extremely high load. Like I'm pretty sure like he had like the highest I forgot the stat. It was some offensive metric that really usage rate. Yeah. He had like an extremely high usage from game to game to game. I feel like with Kyrie Irving on this team now, he has a guy who can be the ball handler, operate in staggers a whole lot more, to where Luka can be off the ball more to contribute his energy elsewhere to impact the game. Because when you sacrifice 100%, right, you're sacrificing without a guarantee that I'm going to for sure have this back in return, right? But at the same time, sacrificing to do what? If you're on a roster that does not have the talent to be able to, have success with you at the current moment, then that sacrifice kind of falls on deaf ears. If you have Kyrie Irving and more depth with Grant on that team, that sacrifice can hit harder now, to where it's like, okay, if I buy in, we can really build a championship identity or culture in the next few years with our core.
No doubt, fellas. All right, well, y'all know what time it is. What it's time to talk about. Team USA played Puerto Rico last night. And the first half, it was fairly close. Second half, they came out and mollywopped them. The final score was 117-74. I'm going to throw out a couple stat lines, and then I'm going to let you guys go ahead and give your takes on it. The leading scorer was 15 by two guys. Anthony Edwards had 15. Cam Johnson came off the bench. He had 15. Mikal Bridges had 14. Jaren Jackson had 12 and 7. Brandon Ingram contributed 11. Also, Jalen Brunson started at point guard. He had 11 points, 12 rebounds. Tyrese Halliburton off the bench also had 12 assists. The starters for the game were Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Mikal Bridges, Brandon Ingram, and Jaren Jackson Jr. But fellas, I'm going to let you guys give your take on what you think happened and what you felt about the game. Mars, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, it's interesting you start with me. Ron neglected to tell me that the game was on FS1, which doesn't even exist in the United Kingdom.
I didn't know what it was coming on either.
So I'm at a point where I can't even watch the game legally. So thanks for that, Ron.
Did you watch it illegally? Well, we'll talk about that on the stream.
Don't smoke yourself.
Please don't.
So from what I could catch, which isn't much, Anthony Edwards looked like the best player on the floor by a very wide margin.
No,
in my opinion, he was making some tremendous plays. His strength at the rim was very staggering compared to a lot of these Puerto Rican small guards. Defensively, he looked aggressive in the passing lanes. I don't think he was really putting in too much effort, to be honest. I like Brandon Ingram. I think Jaren Jackson, when they said he was their best player, like in the training camp, I can see why they said that. But overall, I have probably the least amount of opinions on this game based on the fact that I couldn't watch it. So great.
Yeah,
right.
Okay, I caught it right at the middle of the first.
Almost forgot. Gifted, you said Anthony Edwards wasn't the best player, so I'm interested. I'm interested.
And
I know who he's thinking, but
first, Mars, I'll say this: if you need assistance watching the game, I am doing things now where I will be streaming these games in Discord. So if you want to watch the pull up, allegedly, of course. But in terms of the game that we watched, I gotta say this, man.
Somebody. I know somebody.
Austin,
I ain't saying it's me. I just know somebody.
yeah. I watched this game from opening tip. I gotta say, Jaren Jackson Jr.'s defense was good in this game a whole lot. To me, though, the guy that stole the show, like what sparked their run to blow them out, was really Austin Reeves. And in my opinion, the best player on the floor for both teams in the first half was not an American player. Tremont Waters was absolutely frying Team USA. And the effort that you saw from Austin Reeves, the passing, the half spins, the playmaking, and like just understanding where to be on the basketball floor was changing a lot of things. But JJJ's defense set the tone automatically. He had some great plays where he would tag a guy, get there, not jump. He actually showed better overall discipline, and he cleaned up a lot of the ugly bricks from Team USA. I would say the best player comes down to JJJ and then Austin Reeves based off the eye test. Ant picked it up in the second half, but to me, that was more so after they were starting to like really blow it out of the water. Starting out, to me, it was JJJ and then Austin Reeves, I would say.
All I saw was the third quarter, so I guess
fair. That's fair.
One of the biggest problems that Team USA has, and not just this Team USA in particular, even teams in the past, that adjusting to the international game and understanding how the international game works and thinking that the NBA game will translate to the international game immediately, and it doesn't. Right? You have to implement some of your game and some of the international game. So the reason why it looked the way it did early was because all Team USA did coming out early was cracking the long ball. That's all they did. And that wasn't working. And because that wasn't working, they had to get themselves back in the game. The way that they did that was they started defending at a high level. So Anthony Edwards, he spearheaded that, right? Anthony Edwards was the guy who was, his point of attack was a lot higher. Not only was his point of attack a lot higher, I saw Mikal Bridges on the line, up the line a lot higher, and they were creating a lot of turnovers. And what they also did was they sped the game up. And I think that from an athletic standpoint, that really hurt Puerto Rico. From an athletic standpoint, because they sped the game up, those guys couldn't get back in transition. They couldn't really compete that well in transition, particularly, which is what got them in the game. But if they think during the FIBA championships that you guys are going to try to outshoot teams, especially the way that they played yesterday, that's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong; they work good defensively, but they got to do a better job at shooting the basketball and getting better shots.
The back cuts in the first half were killing me. They were just exploiting them back and forth. The biggest difference, I agree with you, was like speeding up the pace, turning them over more, getting out in transition more. But the attention to detail off the ball was a completely different team in that second half, because what Tremont Waters was doing to this defense, I'm telling you, pull-ups, mid-ranges, passes through tight windows, contested. He was playing outstanding basketball in that first half, man.
Speaking on that.
Go ahead, Ox.
Yeah, sure.
Speaking on that, Gifted.
Ox Africa, definitely want to hear what you guys got to say next. I just want to shout out Tremont Waters. In case you guys don't know, he actually was the point guard on Wemby's team this last year.
Yes, he was.
Tremont Waters and Wemby played with each other this last year, but if you deep in the hoop game and you watch a lot of other leagues and stuff, you know Tremont Waters ain't nothing to play with. He's played in the NBA before. At LSU, he was a problem. Everywhere he goes, he's a problem. I'm actually surprised he's not somebody's backup point guard right now.
Well, that's it right there, Ron. What I was about to get into is actually Puerto Rico a little bit. And people, you know, most people, I know myself, I know Tremont Waters from LSU. That's where I remember him from. And then I remember he had real good run in the G League. But I will say this about Puerto Rico. He got G League Player of the Year, didn't he? Yeah. I believe.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah, he did. I believe maybe like 2 seasons ago. But this is the thing about Puerto Rico. They got those little guards. They got Jordan Howard was there last night. But if y'all know Marcus Howard from Marquette, he actually was having some visa issues. That's why he isn't there yet. And then Jose Alvarado, he didn't get cleared. He didn't get cleared from the Pelicans because of a tibia issue he was having. He's not going to play. But I am saying to say like with those four, because Marcus Howard, we know about Marcus Howard. I'm pretty sure from Marcus, so you know how he get down. But his little brother who went to Central Arkansas, he was playing, and I mean y'all seen he was pretty decent. So even I know that's 4 very small guards we're talking about from Puerto Rico, but I do like them, all 4 of those guards. I would say Jordan Howard is probably the the worst of the four, and he's really good. So I'm just saying that to say Puerto Rico might, could upset some teams. Probably not USA, but some teams. And then what I was watching last night though from us, that anytime you got Anthony Edwards, Mikal Bridges, and Brandon Ingram on the floor together, I really like those three together, and you can have them with any other duo. I prefer them with Tyrese and Triple J. I think that's suffocating ball pressure. The defense with that lineup was crazy. So I was really excited to see them playing like that, like Anthony Edwards, BI, but Mikal Bridges. I think Mikal Bridges impressed me the most last night.
What do you impress you with?
I think for instance, like next year when it's the Olympics time and maybe there's a couple guys that's not there now, I think he's the glue guy for those teams, like the role player for those teams. He plays with a different poise, a different like calmness, a slowness, but he's still long, athletic, and fast. It's like, for instance, he went baseline, dropped his shoulder, and kind of spun back, but he did it like Sean Livingston. He did it like Sean Livingston used to, and it was just like, okay, he's showing a different part of his game right now. Mikal, I think this next year from Mikal in Brooklyn, I think we're going to see a significant step up. But just based on what I saw last night, the difference between him and Anthony Edwards is it's slower for him. He went to Villanova, a little different. The game is slower for him. He sees it. He's just with the pace. So I think I like Mikal Bridges and Triple J the most last night. And that three-headed monster right there of Edwards, Mikal, and Brandon Ingram, that's hard for anybody to deal with. But I do think next year, probably Josh Hart, Austin Reeves, Cam Johnson, they probably stay home, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they probably jump on the squad. And
this is what I don't like, Big Ox. That part right there. This is the part that I don't like, Ox. And the reason why I don't like this is because there is no you can't get continuity. We have to get a legit national team.
Right. Well, this team here, even if they don't do that, Chitchat, which I do think they should, like for them to be, I think Devin Booker and Jason Tatum need to be there. But I do. But for this team, though, I like what you're saying. I like them as a team.
I do.
Maybe if Anthony Davis is healthy enough, maybe he jumps on the squad too, and that would really seal the deal for me. But I'm not sure if he's gonna be. I don't know. So.
Well, let's be real. Team USA way better than the whole world, bro. Most talented team, obviously, right? And what's interesting? I saw like when I was watching the game is like. They came out playing 5 out, right? So you got Jaren Jackson at the 4, Brandon Ingram starting at the 4, Jaren Jackson at the 5, and so they're playing 5 out basketball, and everybody can shoot, and so they're creating space for each other. That's interesting when you see players play different roles and they play on their team. We saw Banchero when he was on the court too, playing at the 5 position and like being that guy on the inside when they were 4 out, 1 in. So it's interesting that players play different roles, and I was actually most impressed with Brandon Ingram. Like Brandon Ingram, I think will be the like half court scorer for that team. I think he's the best scorer on the team. And even though Anthony Edwards may score the most points because they're such a good defensive team and he'll be out in transition, I think Brandon Ingram's going to be that go-to guy. When we need a bucket, I think you go to Brandon Ingram. He was getting ISOs on the wing and he was scoring effortlessly. So this team is like very talented. I think they easily win the FIBA championships. And, that defense, transition, athleticism, that's going to be light work, to be honest, bro. Light work.
Young Africa, is your logic they're going to win it simply because they're just more talented than everybody else?
More talented, more athletic, better defensively, more versatile than anybody in the world, to be honest, man. They could play a lot of ways.
And this is why, and this logic right here is why the rest of the world is catching up. For that reason there. This is exactly why the rest of the world is catching up, because you can't just throw a bunch of dudes on a unit and because we're more talented, expect
IQ matters, bro.
Not only does IQ matter, there's a reason why these teams, like for example, in the 2008 in the gold medal game against the US, people forget how good that Spanish team was. That was a damn good team. And they had been together for a long time with Rudy Fernandez and Pau Gasol and his brother and Ricky Rubio. That was a damn good Spanish team. The reason why they were good, not just because they were talented, they were together for a long time. These guys played together for a long time, and they actually have a national team. The reason why the rest of the world is catching up is because we don't have that. We got a bunch of dudes that we throw together, and then we put these guys, we display these guys in the Olympics, and all of a sudden, some other teams are playing a little bit better, and we end up outlasting them, so to speak. And everybody's like, oh, is the world catching up? Yeah, the reason why the world is catching up is because these guys have been together for a long time and they play together. They have a continuity about them as opposed to us where we just throw units together and just expect it to work. That's not going to keep working, man. Eventually, that's going to run out.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the defense, like, there were so many possessions where there were many Team USA players just not paying attention to back cuts, like simple things. And that team, like, fought hard. The talent outclassed them in terms of, you know, being out there in transition. But for me, it's not like BI that really popped out. Like, I really feel like Austin Reeves was the biggest difference maker. I mean, he subs in corner three, automatically gets the energy going, but the IQ in terms of where to be on both ends, he just fit in seamlessly to what they were trying to accomplish. Honestly, I was very impressed with what AR-15 did the minute that he subbed into that game.
Yo, so I missed the first half. I only watched the second half.
Pain.
And so in the second half, I basically just seen them go on a crazy run.
Yeah.
But from what I seen, and not even all bias aside, Tyrese Halliburton looked like he was the one that made that unit go.
Here we go. Here we go, Mars.
Yo, hey,
here we go, Mars.
Y'all can say what you
coming.
want to.
Oh, y'all gonna hate me today.
Hey, 12 assists, 1 turnover, and the way he was just finding guys in transition in the half court, the way he was going, and everything just looked seamless.
Ryan, you gonna hate me for saying this, bro, because he was good in the second half, but there were so many possessions in the half court where he would catch the ball, pump fake a three, not attack a closeout or make the extra pass. He picked it up in the second half, you know, good. But in that first half, he was looking extremely questionable, especially defensively.
Yeah, I didn't see the first half, so I don't know.
That's fair.
Hey, if he didn't see it, it ain't happening, man. What are we talking about?
If he didn't see it, it didn't happen.
The second half, he went crazy. But listen,
and to those of y'all that didn't see, so like you just mentioned, Waters was just basically killing these guys.
Cooking the
basketball,
getting
cuts to the basket. So what ends up happening now is that we got Mikal Bridges now switched on to Waters. Not only do we have him switched on to Waters, we got him keeping the ball away from Waters as much as possible. Not only keeping the ball away from Waters, they're jumping him higher. As opposed to letting the offense start at the 3-point line. They jumping him higher when he get the basketball and keeping the ball away from him more. That's called an adjustment, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you guys know, that's called an adjustment in coaching. So we're going to keep the ball away from him, not just keep the ball away from him. Those cuts, we got weak side defenders helping on those cuts, which they weren't. It was like Olay in the first half, like, oh, I'm sorry, my fault. Oh, I'm sorry, my fault. No, that's not the way. That's not the way we're gonna win. That's not the way we're gonna play. If we're gonna play defense like that, we're not gonna win. No. So they did adjust to that.
Especially like, bro, there were so many possessions in the fast break too. Like, there was one play I think in the second quarter where Bobby Portis caught a pass, and it's like, Bobby, one more pass, and it's a bucket, and he still didn't really convert it. Like, they were still learning how to play together, so I'll give him grace. Jalen Brunson and me was good and weird. I felt like he didn't want to pressure the paint enough. When he wanted to, he got to the paint and contributed really good things for their half-court offense, but it's the first game. Like, these guys have to obviously, like, find each other and find ways to fit in. Why. But my prediction, Austin Reeves is going to play a significant role on this team. He was by far the most impressive player.
Absolutely, he is. Yeah. His ability to stretch the defense out and hit the long ball, that makes for a nightmare for defense, especially in the international game. He's going to be really good on this team, 100%. I think that's going to translate over to the Lakers too. By the way,
it's a couple things too. So obviously, you know, like your Team USA, you got that badge of honor. Obviously, when you wear that jersey, you're automatically put in the best contention. So when you go out and step against step on the court against some guys like the Puerto Rican team, you're gonna almost come out a little lackadaisical. You're gonna come out and overlook them, and it's not purposely. It just happens because that's just who you're playing against. So that first half, part of it was that, but then also too, kind of how you said, Gifted, like these dudes got to figure out exactly how to play with each other, and then they got to figure out their rotations and things of that nature. But from what I seen in the second half, though, I think like getting stops and getting out and running, that's going to be the best thing for this team. Obviously, they're gonna be more athletic than most of the teams that they play against, if not all. The best thing to do is beat that team up the floor and don't allow them to settle on defense.
And when did that happen?
The ball in transition, make or miss. It was a couple times where they made some shots and still got easy buckets because they got it out fast and got the ball up the floor. I think that's going to be the key to this young team really thriving and being successful.
And I will say to Halliburton, like, I think one of my favorite lineups, I think they had Brunson, Halliburton, but like the Paolo lineups where they just had more size and length, they were just more physically dominant than those guys. But putting playmaking with that size for Team USA made a big difference. Big difference to me.
I would love to see this be the national team, to be honest with you. And what I mean when I say that is I would love to see these guys commit to be playing in the FIBA championships. We're playing in the Olympics.
You're growing through it, right?
Yeah, I would love to see these guys commit to that. Ox, I'm out on the don't get me wrong. I think that Jason Tatum, I think that maybe I'd like to go younger than Devin Booker. As good as Devin Booker is, I'd like to go younger than Devin Booker. I'd like to stick with I would like to stick with Anthony Edwards. I want to stick with him and maybe replace one of the lead guards with Cade Cunningham and stick with this young group and actually have these guys commit to having a national team, just like they did in 2008, where they got James to commit, they got Chris Paul to commit, they got Wade to commit, they got Chris Bosh to commit, then they got Bryant to commit. I would like to see them actually have a national team where we're committed, and once we committed, you'll see the gap like you saw it in 2008, right? You'll see the gap like you saw it in 2012, as opposed to I believe it was 2021 where they ended up having the Olympics. I mean, they won the gold medal, but I mean, was the gap really there? Was it that much of a gap? I don't think it was that much of a gap. There were some games where we looked at it going, this team looks like they're really good. So I wouldn't mind this actually being the national team and getting a commitment from these guys that, you're going to be the guys moving forward, playing in the FIBA championships, playing in the Olympics in 2025 or 26, whichever year it is. I would like to see that.
And just so everybody knows, Team USA is not actually the favorites to win.
Oh, really?
Which is not surprising.
They have Team Canada as the slight favorite.
Bro, Team Canada is nice. I cannot wait to watch these boys hoop, man. They got a nice squad.
Cannot let Canada win the gold.
Bro, they got Shea. They got Shea, Jamal Murray, RJ. They got a squad over there, man. They really do.
Hey, Chitchat, how is Fluent and Chill going to be if Canada wins the gold?
You already know how it's going to be. You know what I'm going to have to listen to if Canada ends up winning the gold. Yeah, I'm probably going to have number one. I'm going to have to get a Team Canada jersey, and I'm going to have to rock it on the show. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to have to rock it on the show. Number two, every player that plays in the NBA that's Canadian is the best player in the NBA. I want to make sure that we clear on that. That's going to be the next topic. Jamal Murray, Shea, every player. Go down the line of players that played Andrew Wiggins. All of these guys are the best players in the NBA. And I'm going to have to listen to that until the Olympics start. And God forbid if they win the gold medal at the Olympics.
Bro, they're not going to win, bro. Dwight Powell, like Kelly Olynyk, like they're not a deep team like USA. Like the bench of the USA is better than Canada, to be honest, bro. So I don't know.
Africa, you're just looking at the name of the players, though.
Yeah, the names don't matter. It's how they're used.
I understand the continuity. I understand the continuity and
different. And then on top
of that, but
dudes on the USA team, they're used to being the man, so they want to overdo what they do. The players on Team Canada, they're gonna play within themselves. They're gonna play their role, kind of how we were saying about Luka. If those guys get beat, they're gonna recover. They're gonna rotate. They're gonna die for loose balls. They're gonna be out there playing hard and playing within themselves. The USA guys, it might be a point where they get selfish. It might be a point where they get frustrated. It might be a point where, like against Puerto Rico, they're looking at this dude like, man, you playing Puerto Rico. I play in the NBA.
I don't see that problem on the USA team this year, Ron. I think the only person that might possibly get like that could be BI. Other than that, I don't see anybody else on that team that's going to get on that ego trip type.
And why is that, Big Ox? Why don't you see that, Big Ox?
Because we don't got the guys like I was naming, like the Jason Tatums, the Devin Bookers, we got. I mean, these are all obviously really good players, but I don't think we got any of the superstars.
Yeah, rising stars. They're rising stars.
Yeah, so
right?
I don't think we'll have that issue, especially with guys like guys like Mikal Bridges, Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards just wants to win. Mikal Bridges, Tyrese Halliburton, those guys. I'm not expecting that issue from Team USA this
Yeah,
year.
a lot of two-way players. No, not really like specialists or guys that can do like multiple things on the court, that can defend, that can rebound, that can play make. So this team is great as long as they get their defense tight. Like Chill saying that it wasn't close in the last Olympics. It was close. I don't think it was close at all, bro. I think it was
from
America
a talent
and everybody
standpoint,
else by
maybe.
quite a distance.
From a talent standpoint, maybe not. From a talent standpoint, it wasn't. But I watched them against that French team, and that French team, that was basketball.
France, yeah. Evan Fournier was cooking. It was a close game.
Rudy,
but,
the way that they and a lot of people talk about the way that they talk about Rudy in the NBA, the way that they use Rudy on that French national team. I'm thinking to myself, why don't they use him like that in the NBA? Why don't they use him like that more? That's that part I'm still clueless about. And just so you know, Young Africa, the 92 Dream Team, 4 of them dudes, Jordan, Mullen, and Patrick Ewing was on the 84 Olympic team. And then David Robinson was on the 88 Olympic team. So there's some continuity there, as opposed to those other guys where you just throwing dudes on the unit and you just trying to figure it out as you go. And they understand international basketball, as opposed to these dudes that you throwing on the unit. And I have such a difficult time with, this logic today when you're dealing with talent, because you think that you could just walk up to the park with 5 dudes and just be nicer than y'all. I can't tell you how many times I've watched dudes do that and come up to the park and they think they nicer than everybody and get their ass kicked.
Yeah, I could easily see this team laying an egg. Now, I do got us winning, but I could easily see this team come out. The shots aren't falling. The defense is lackadaisical, and they just look sluggish, similar to the first half. And the other team on the other side, they just playing lights out. They making their shots. They playing together. They getting stops. They getting fast break buckets, easy buckets like that. I can easily see that happen.
Is Jokic and Giannis playing?
Right now, Luka playing. I think I'm about to.
I know Luka playing, but is Jokic
not playing.
I don't think Giannis is playing.
Giannis isn't cleared right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing.
Okay.
I know he was on the roster. I don't know if he's gonna play.
Well, still, I don't know, but there's a couple teams that could still like France could get it. Germany could get it. Lithuania could.
Obviously, Spain too.
Lithuania always got a good team. Ox, what is the deal with that? Lithuania always got a good.
They always got a very solid team,
and they're big. They're big too. I believe they got Sabonis and Valanciunas.
Yeah.
So. I got some bigs over there. And also I was about to say that. I've been telling y'all for a little bit. Like Nigeria, they on the rise. So Nigeria, the last Nigeria team, they could beat this team.
And Mark, just so you know, Nigeria did have a team when Olajuwon played in the Olympics. They did have a team.
Exactly, and he chose not to play for them.
Don't do
that. I had to clarify that with Mars.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Listen, Saturday is gonna be fun. Okay, Team USA versus Luka and them. That's gonna be fun to watch for sure.
Yes, I just want to put that
against who?
Luka.
Exactly.
That's Slovenia.
On Saturday. Yep.
Hey, wait. So wait, Ron. Serbia has so Jokic isn't playing, but they still got Nemanja and Bogdanovic, right?
Serbia, outside of America, in my opinion, Serbia is easily the deepest team, bar none. And I'm pulling up the roster right now, and I'm gonna break down everybody that they have. But
Jovic, the young cat from Miami, he's over there, right?
He on that Slovenian team?
No, Serbia.
Oh, he on a Serbian team. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So Serbia, they have Bogdanovic. I think they don't have Bojan. They got Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Yeah, Bogdan Bogdanovic.
They obviously have Nemanja. Hold on right quick. I'm still trying to find their team. Jokic as well. They have Vasily Micic. That's the dude who just signed with
OKC.
With OKC. He's been the EuroLeague MVP before. Hold on, this website's not giving me the players.
Our website.
Yeah, they're talking about it in the chat right now. I wish they could just somehow, like, just for basketball, let those countries be Yugoslavia one time for just.
Oh man,
just so we could get that. They need a Yugoslavia verse.
And what countries was Yugoslavia, and who would it all be? Because we've talked about this before, Bob.
Yeah, it would be those teams. I know it would be what Serbia and Slovenia would be in there, right?
Yeah, Serbia, Slovenia, Croatia would be in there as well. Yeah.
And it's like what, three more? Three is
Luka,
like three
that's
more.
Luka Jokic right there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, so you got so it's not giving me their actual roster.
Bosnia and Montenegro, that's the other ones. Yeah,
it's not giving me their actual roster, but I'll just list off a couple different players. You got Boban, you got Bogdanovic, you got Nemanja, and then it's a couple other overseas players. You guys wouldn't quite know them, but they're all ballers. You got the one, Teodosic, Milos Teodosic.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I got you right here.
USA clears. Unfortunately, but USA clears.
So right here, it's Jokic, Boban, Bogdanovic, Stefan Jovic, Nikola Molitinov.
Yeah,
Vasily.
He's a very good EuroLeague player.
Miroslav Raduchika, Vladimir Lucic.
That's another good overseas player.
I wish I knew these guys, but I don't, sadly.
Hey, very good overseas players.
I believe Marcos Simonovic.
These guys is nice.
Mm-hmm. You know Marko Simonovic?
Nah,
Stefan Bursevic, Marko Guduric.
No Marko Guduric. Woo! I know Marko Guduric. Hey, Marko Guduric got a cannon. He a lefty.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I watch Marko Guduric put 30 on Shaq team. A 30.
He played for Fenerbahce.
Yeah, he played for Fener. Oh my! Hey, they got smacked.
Now, just so you know, Ron, there's different levels of 30, and the way your voice sound, that was a loud. Now
there is
30.
different levels of 30. That's a fact. Yeah,
and that sound like a loud 30. Like I came in here to give you dudes the business.
Marko Guduric.
That's Marko Guduric within this.
They lost by 30 that night, but he was on the type time.
Empty stats. Okay,
he was it was empty, but it was
next
loud.
time lead with that, Ron.
Hey, it don't matter. Hey, look. His 30 was better than the 30 that they won with. I'm gonna put it.
What about Marko Jagadic Karidza?
Yeah,
he looked big as hell.
Hey Ron, I got a clip which will show why I'm a bit nervous about Team USA's defense. Kind of why Mikhail didn't really move me that much in the game. Do you mind if I show it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm sharing my thing here. Do you see?
Yeah, I got it. I'm gonna throw it on the screen right now.
James be crazy. Ron knows overseas ball like the back of his hand, but barely.
All right, so this is Mikal Bridges here. I think his off-ball defense was kind of mid in the first half, but even off the ball, he was getting beat. By the way, y'all, this is Tremont Waters, so put respect on Tremont. Oh, it's lagging for some reason.
Man, fix that raggedy ass Wi-Fi.
I'll just pause frame it. Look.
We're gonna act like he ain't just get cooked.
He got cooked.
Ankles.
We're gonna act like he ain't just get cooked like that. That was crazy.
He got cooked.
Oh, yeah, them on roller skates right there.
No, that was crazy.
The other one when he went to the left.
What's the issue? Getting beat off the dribble with a nice move. Is that an issue?
Oh yeah, crazy.
Yo, you can't stay in front of that, bro. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about
Anybody.
You can't stay in front of that.
And that's Puerto Rico, young Africa. Wait till they run up on Spain. Wait till they run up on
Wait
France.
until they find Luka Doncic and he starts.
Right. Wait till they run up on Slovenia. Teams like that.
It's gonna be a little tough,
that's
bro.
That's Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yo, the one did you get the one where he went left?
That's fair. I'm more asking where's.
I'm trying to find that right. I'm trying to find that right now, Ox.
That was
my question. Where's Jaren Jackson on the help? Like you should be there to help your guy. He just got blamed. Huh? It was Paolo right there. Yeah,
it looked like it was Paolo.
Yeah, there was another one though, Young Africa, where Jaren was there for the help and couldn't get to it.
Didn't matter. Yeah.
Okay.
Like listen, that is why Chill's point, and I 100% agree. You can name the talent on the roster. On paper, Mikal Bridges is a good defender. He got cooked right there. It like that name shit don't matter. It's about how you execute those names in a system to play a different brand of basketball overseas, bro. Because there's so many players who, when they play Team USA, guess what? They have nothing to lose. Let's bust their ass. We got nothing to lose, okay? They counted me out. I've been cut from these teams in the league. So when I come over here and I'm playing y'all, I'm trying to cook and kill Team USA. That's the mindset every single game.
And just so you know, Young Africa, don't think for one second that Waters wasn't looking at Mikal Bridges like, I'm going to bust your ass.
Facts.
He was looking at him like, I'm going to give you the work you looking for. You dialed the right number, brother.
I question if Mikal Bridges knew who Tremont Waters was. I guess he knew him after the game.
He didn't.
No doubt. I don't think he would have known. Whereas teams like Luka
100% knows who Tremont Waters.
Okay, so I don't know if he knows his tendencies like that and what he's capable of. In the half court, just off the dribble. But guys like Luka. Teams that have NBA level players, I think that would be easier for Team USA. They already know how these guys get down. I think they should be able to play these guys
is cooking that defense crazy.
Guys they never seen. Cooking solo cooking.
Bro, this one I think it might for this team. The team that Team USA got, they're gonna have an easier time guarding Luka than they are gonna have guarding guys like Tremont Waters. They're gonna have a much easier time. Now, I'm not saying Luka's not gonna cook. I'm not saying Luka's not gonna get his, but they're gonna have a much easier time guarding a big guard, a slower guard than they are Tremont Waters. You cannot stay in front of Tremont Waters. We don't have one guy on our team. There's not anybody on our team. Maybe Anthony Edwards can make him turn one or two more times, but if he doesn't pick up his dribble, you're at his mercy. You're not staying in front of him.
Perspective, yeah, but my thing is
off that play. Your question in Mikal Bridges is
it's not off that play. I defense the whole game. His defense wasn't that great in that game.
No. So are we questioning Mikal Bridges' one-on-one defense though, just off that game? Is that what we do?
No, we're not. No, we're not doing that. Okay. That was the first half. That was the first half that we're talking about, right? And we're talking about the first half and what they were doing defensively. And how they were not in tune.
It was not locked in the first half.
How they turned it up and how they turned it up in the second half. That's all we doing. Has nothing to do.
When you got Mikal and BI, and obviously we're gonna be helping hard, hedging hard, doubling on Luka. He's gonna have to shoot over our long defenders, which he can do. We've seen him do it hundreds of times. He can shoot over 6-7 guys, but that's where at least we're gonna have a hand up in front of him instead of chasing him, So that's my reason for saying what I said about easier to guard Luka than it is to guard him. I don't think Tremont Waters is better than Luka. I'm not trying to say nothing crazy.
If he gets the switches and they're not blitzing, the danger is Luka has the passing ability to break that defense tremendously. And more importantly, we've seen Mikal Bridges on Luka, and we know how that turned out. Yeah, so they got to keep trying to change things up, be physical, but be tapped in off the ball, because when you're not playing good off ball defense, if Tyrese Halliburton cannot fight through these multiple screens, it's going to be a problem. Honestly, but I think they're good enough. I do.
Do you not think so? Specifically for a team like Slovenia, when you have Luka, still being a ball dominant, but they play a little different than he does for the Mavericks. Do you not think the lineup with Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Mikal Bridges, and BI, do you not think we could switch everything, even trap on those?
Not with Halliburton. He struggled to fight through multiple screens, and I think individually he could be a weaker link that teams target on the offensive end. To me, I think I would lean with JJJ. I would go Mikal. Honestly, I liked the minutes in terms of length and size from Paolo. I just think the key recipe to Team USA really taking off is converting their defense into offense. Anthony Edwards plays a big role in that for sure. But guys who are going to push the pace up and down the floor, like Halliburton, Brunson, those type of guys are really going to show value against teams like that, Ox.
Yeah. And also I think we got the ability to run it up on teams. We're fast.
Yeah, yes.
Fast. Even when it's Cam Johnson in the game or Austin Reeves in the game.
Cam Johnson be getting up the floor. Cam Johnson sneaky.
He was getting up the floor too. Yeah.
You got guys running that floor. Paolo could run the floor. JJJ.
We haven't talked about Cam Johnson actually. He
was solid.
Of running it up. Yeah. Since we're on the subject of running it up, gifted. Mm-hmm. I did not appreciate that. I ain't even a Phoenix Suns fan, but that ass whooping that Dallas put on them in that game 7, I did not appreciate that at all. I did not.
Bro, listen, not like that. I will never forget this game. I've watched it 6 times. Literally, Luka outscored the entire Phoenix Suns in the first half.
They were down by 40 at one point. At
They were down by
40.
40 at one point.
At one point, they were down by 40.
And this is why, for me personally, I will never be a DeAndre Ayton believer until he is on a different team. The way that Luka Doncic said, you know what I'm going to do in a game 7 that matters most? I'm going to post you up, bully your ass, and post fade over you. That was
in your building.
That was disrespectful.
So now we're going to get Luka in his actual element in the international game going up against Mikal Bridges, who – that's why I brought that up, because I did not appreciate that ass whooping one bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put you in Luka in his natural element in the international game and go up against guys like Mikal Bridges, which these guys aren't familiar with the international game like Luka is. Luka does this just about every summer. So that's worrisome for me. It definitely is worrisome for me. No doubt about that. Yeah. I can't say enough about how team continuity and how being together for a long period of time matters, because when you're talking about the international game is way different than the American game. Yeah. There's things that you can't do internationally that you could do in America. Like you can take the ball out of the rim when it's spinning. You can do that. You can
stay in the paint longer.
You can stay in the paint longer. On bars in terms of playing defense. You can't there's certain things that you can't do internationally that you can do in the NBA, which will explain why a lot of guys that play in the NBA can't play in Europe and can't play internationally. And this is the same reason why a lot of guys that play overseas can't play in the NBA. Not from a talent standpoint, but just from a style standpoint.
Yeah. I will say, though, like, I don't want to overrate any team because, again, like, I don't like to lie at any point about basketball I haven't watched. I have not seen their team. I will be watching multiple teams during this tournament to see how they stack up to Team USA. I will say, though, they can hunt Luka. They have the guys to do it, the speed, the talent. They can hunt him too. So that is a sidebar thing as well that could happen. But
that's the other thing that I had a problem with too, Gifted, when you talked about Joker. I mean, I'm sorry, you talked about Luka, and we talked about him as a defender early.
Yeah.
He gets hunted.
He does get hunted, yeah.
That makes me nuts, man, because I'm thinking about like Curry, for example. Yeah. Curry will get hunted, but Curry puts the effort in to slow that down. Luka, they make a huge effort to go after him. Yeah. A huge effort to go after him. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a player and I'm the same size as this guy, or I got the same skill set, I am not the mismatch out here. Y'all got to go somewhere else with this, because it can't be me, especially if I'm a star player. You can't be one of those guys where they go after you. And I think that Luka, as a defender, he could take more pride in that they're actually going after me. So I gotta prove why they should not be going after me. No, they should not be going after me. I've watched plenty of great players who were average defenders who they did go after, but then I watch players who were great offensive players and thinking to myself, don't you have some pride? Like, they go after James Harden. Like they make an effort to go after you, B. They make an effort to go after you.
All right, fellas. Let's go ahead and transition to these super chats. And then we got a couple other segments we're gonna get in before we jump up off the stream. Yeah. If you watching at this moment and you haven't liked the video, go ahead and slap that button. If you're not a member yet, it's no better time than now. All right. TBG said tickets terry cloth. That means very soft. Eli the Misfit said, yeah, KG clears Bosh.
I don't think that was the topic of conversation. I don't think we was talking about that.
That wasn't the topic.
That's a question. No.
Technically, but I get it.
I do.
No, that's what it came down to. That's why the argument was over. I didn't know.
That's what I was trying to make sense of, Ox. I'm like, how'd we get here? Like, Chris, yeah. I understand the trajectory that Bosh was on, but I'm thinking about, I mean, when KG started to materialize, we talking like 2000. That's when he started to become, I think he was in year 4, year 5. Like, he's first team all NBA. He's first team all defense. And he's now doing that on a consistent basis. I'm thinking, no. Well, how did we get here? This ain't what we was talking about a minute.
I mean, the way we got there is when it came down to comparing both players, what was talked about more was how far they went and the success they had on their teams.
Right.
Which was far away from Ox's point of how they are as basketball players. Those are two separate conversations.
Which Mars and I go back and forth about that, because Mars is primarily on how good you are at basketball, as opposed to
because that matters.
Me, it does matter, and I care about how good you are at basketball, but I also care about what you produce. So me and Mars, we butt heads with that logic a lot of different times.
I mean, listen, it's not easy. It's not easy. So that's fair. You know,
if you're good at basketball, you're going to naturally produce, right? Like it comes with it.
Oh, that's my only point. Is if the players that are that good, well, why weren't you able to produce more?
I just feel like there's a line to it. And
I always ask, which players are you talking about?
Yeah,
like, which ones are good but didn't produce?
Which players do I call good that don't produce? Like, I need one player who I've ever called good who's never produced.
Steve Nash.
How does Steve Nash not produce? Okay.
Well, yeah, Steve Nash, 100%.
In terms of winning, I'm not talking about. You don't like accolades, right? So now we're talking about winning.
I don't think he meant production is winning.
Was like 3 times. What are you talking about winning? A championship.
But we also
so is production just winning a championship, Ron? I just want to make sure.
Would you call
production just winning a championship?
Would you classify him as a winner?
No, he's 1,000% he's a winner. But so production to you, production is winning a championship.
Absolutely.
Then we view it differently. That's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not.
I've never viewed production.
What I don't do, Mars, is I'm not going to view production as solely winning a championship. But what I'm also going to do is when you're talking about a guy who is better at basketball, who when he gets in bigger stages and gets in bigger spots, doesn't produce.
Yeah, that's not Steve Nash. That's not Steve Nash.
That's why I have a difficult. That's why I have a difficult time, and I'm not prefacing Steve Nash. That's why I have a difficult time with it solely being about you being good at basketball. Because I've seen guys
feel about DeMar DeRozan. I value the playoffs and how you play.
Because DeMar DeRozan is really good at basketball.
Yes, so I value how you play in the playoffs. It has to translate. Right. And I care about that. So these players who I call very good, it translates in the playoffs. Whether or not they win or lose, maybe they haven't had the best team, maybe they got unfortunate. And I can see that and be like, well, you're still very good. You're still like Kevin Garnett. Like I always go to Kevin Garnett because he never had the situation to win in Minnesota. I still see he was clear. He was still clearly an all-time great player playing at an all-time great level. And I'm not going to say, well, clearly he didn't produce and he's not as good as someone else who did win because he never had the opportunity. Like me personally, I'm like, well, Kevin Garnett's just better than these people. I didn't need to see him win in Minnesota to prove that. I could see he was just better than them.
But like, I think that's the problem because again, like people saying, well, player A averaged 18 points, player B averaged 19 points. These players are comparable. The context of how you got that 18, the way you got that 18, the responsibility that you had for your team on both ends of the floor matters. And to me, like, I'm sorry, but KG and Bosh, if you're making a comparison, you go to team success because on the court, KG is better. And like, it's not that hard of a conversation to just have. Yeah, I don't even know why this is at all. And then you talk about the success because you're trying to paint a narrative to say, okay, well, this player is better because he had more success. And that's not how basketball works to me. There's a fine balance between these two ideologies.
I think personally, just real quick, like there's only really like a couple rare plays in NBA history that production is so high and so impactful that they literally raised their team to places that they were not meant to go and produce winning when it wasn't expected. So it's like a hard thing to put on the play if they don't win and they're still producing at a high level in the All NBA. That's different. Even a Hall of Famer might be able to still produce, but not put his team over the top like a Tracy McGrady. But a guy like an all-time great, like a LeBron James, for example, can do that and raise teams to a certain level. And even then, people go and say it was a weak Eastern Conference, and he did this and that. But there's only certain players that have ever done that, right? And so it's tough to put winning on it, Ron, when you talk about production.
Yeah, but Africa, when I talk about that, I'm talking about the players that are in this upper echelon. Like usually when we get to talking about things like this in production and all of that, we're usually talking about top 25, top 20 type of players. So when you narrow those guys down, obviously they all pass the eye test. We're talking about top 25 players all time. They all obviously had game. They all obviously were superior, and at one point were one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player. So when you get to those guys, now you have to start differentiating those guys. And what differentiates it to me
is the impact on winning, not winning, but the impact you have on winning.
No, you can't impact winning without winning. What are you talking about?
Come on now.
He's your
Come on now, Bars.
You can't impact winning without
How
winning.
you impact
Mars.
winning, but you lose the game by 20? That don't make sense.
You can't impact winning without winning.
Yes, you
I do
can.
get that part.
Man,
Like,
you lost.
trolling, man. He's trolling. It's trolling, man. He's
Guys,
About
you
winning,
can
you ain't
impact winning without winning. You know that, right?
Shout out to
Like,
LeBron James in the
impacted the
finals,
loss.
bro.
You
Yeah.
impacted
LeBron
the
James in the
loss.
finals, bro. Like
no, but you
winning
impacted
without
that team when you were on the floor to compete and to win based off what you did.
You can't. I'm just trolling. You can't.
They lost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's trolling Ron. It's like if you don't win,
I'm sure. I was just trolling.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trolling. I was just.
You guys just gotta think. How you impacting winning and don't win?
Well, wait a minute, Mars. You can impact winning and don't win the championship, but we did get here, and it's not like that. Doesn't mean that I didn't impact us getting here. Add that to the fact that because we lost, how did we lose, Mars? For example, how about the '98 Bulls? So when they lose, when they beat the Utah Jazz in a dogfight, I mean, I'd like to think that John Stockton and Malone impacted them getting there. They did lose, but the fact that these two guys did impact them getting there. Jeff Hornacek impacted that team getting to the NBA Finals, going deep into the playoffs.
Yeah,
yes, they did lose.
They
yes,
impacted winning in the Western Conference, and then they got to finals. And
that's the point, Mars. And I'm glad you brought that part up. They impacted them winning to get to Game 6. It's not like they got mopped out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember they had a game where they scored 50 points. Yeah, that could.
Can you impact winning and lose in the second round of the playoffs? Can you do that? I think
yes.
you can. I think you can.
Yeah. You can impact winning and lose.
I just feel like impact winning and miss the playoffs.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Yeah. Shout out to Luka Doncic. Yeah, you can.
Yes,
I just feel like the context of like
you guys are praising
matters
right now.
So are you saying that what James was doing when he first got to Cleveland, when they won 15 games, and that 15 games went to I think 35 games, and that 35 games went to 42 games, that wasn't impacting winning, even though they didn't make the playoffs?
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
No, it's not irrelevant because
he trolling heavy.
Trolling.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
this doesn't make sense.
According to Ron, though, like not winning though. According to Ron, I think not winning.
Don't get me wrong, Young Africa. The ultimate goal is to win the NBA championship. That's the ultimate goal, correct?
Yeah.
But getting to the NBA championship, I'm impacting my team getting there. Whether we lose in the first round, I did have an impact on us getting to the playoffs. Whether we lose in the second round, I did have an impact on us getting to the playoffs and losing in a dogfight series in 7 games. Did
Jalen Green impact winning this year?
How many games did y'all win last year? Yes, he did, Mars. You know why? Because y'all won 22 games. Y'all didn't go 0-82.
Yeah. Is there a minimum of winning that you have to be?
So when the Sixers won 10 games in 2016,
it was actually 9. Oh, 20.
Whatever, yeah.
I
think they were 10 and 72.
I just think there's levels.
Did Nerlens Noel impact winning?
Oh,
he did impact those 10 wins. He did.
Ron saved us, man.
He did have something to do with those 10 wins that they had. He also had something to do with those 72 losses that they had too. But he did have something to do with those 10 wins that they had. Yes.
Okay. I see.
Teddy Hart with the super chat. So what do you think Magic's career would have looked like if he didn't end up on the one team that actually let him play PG? If he was forced to play the 3 or 4 like most coaches would have done, does he go down as a top 5 all time?
Most coaches would have done. So most coaches are just disregarding all of his strengths and saying, "Yo, go off ball."
What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, Paul Westhead tried to play him at the 4, and Magic got him fired and requested a trade.
And I'm 100. Yes, he got fired.
Yeah, so Magic knew that it wasn't going to go well for him if he had to.
Right.
Yeah, Magic
could Magic have been a good point forward though? Stretch forward, play with like point guard, and then still kind of get the ball, still catch the ball in the. But I'm saying so in the half court set, maybe still catch the ball in the high post and work from there, things like that. And then when he gets the rebound, still push the break, I think he still would have dominated. He still.
I don't know how many coaches would have really used him as a.
Those questions make me nuts when I hear them. The reason why they make me nuts is because It just sounds crazy. Like, what happens if the 49ers would have put Joe Montana at wide receiver? You think he'd be a great player in the NFL? What the hell?
Yeah.
What are you talking about,
because he said as most coaches would, which would mean like they would see the talent that Magic Johnson has coming out of college, being a ball handler, and
I'm a league guard.
play off the ball.
I'm not
and
playing
play
the
3 and 4.
Give him the basketball.
Unless he's playing like LeBron James and you're playing the 3, but you're really still the primary ball handler. He's not going to be the same guy that we see him as because his strengths are not going to be fully maximized. So,
right. What position did he play at Michigan State?
Play the league guard.
All right. So why would
give him the ball? Let's get off this goofy logic. Stop playing. If he got drafted in 1979 by the Utah Jazz, give him the basketball. If he got drafted by the Knicks in 1979, give him the ball. Stop acting like, okay, we're gonna move him to the 4. Even though they did, if I'm not mistaken, the year that he played at Michigan State when he played the league guard, how'd that season end up for them?
They won Larry Bird.
They won the national championship with him at the lead guard. So if he comes into the NBA, what we're gonna do, Mars, we're gonna move him to the 5. That's what we're gonna do.
Man, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Stuff sounds nuts, yo. It sounds crazy.
Teddy Hart, he has another super chat. This one is just not regarding Magic Johnson. He said, should there be a significant pay incentive for Team USA players? They are risking injuries, which directly affects their quote-unquote day jobs. Do you feel like their honor of repping USA is payment enough in itself?
They get paid.
What, these brothers not getting paid?
They get paid already, don't they?
They're not doing it for free. That would be sleeping.
Okay, I was about to
they get
say,
paid.
Yeah, it's not free at all.
Just like the Greek national team, just like the Slovenian national team. Everybody getting paid.
Are we really concerned with guys making hundreds of millions of dollars, and if they're getting paid enough, man? This is kind of wild.
Yeah, well, still, yeah.
Hey,
you got to get. Not even. It's not even so much about getting as much money as you can. It's not about being greedy. It's about being compensated for your time. If I'm playing, you pay me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think there's anything wrong with them getting paid. Like, no, it's not enough to be representing. It's not, because if I get hurt, then I can't feed my family playing in the NBA no more. So yeah, you gotta pay me.
D got it made. Said, is Jimmy Butler more impactful to winning than Kevin Durant, despite being the less talented player?
Kevin Durant's been in 4 finals. Jimmy Butler's been in 2.
But who impacts winning more?
Kevin Durant has 2 rings.
Who impacts winning more?
The answer's clear. Kevin Durant's 1 , so clearly he's impacted winning more. Like,
is this a career thing you're doing?
Many people say Jimmy Butler takes untalented rosters.
Kevin Durant has won 2 championships. He's clearly
and been to the finals 3 times, by the way. And been to the finals.
His impact on those. You got to weigh the talent. You got to weigh the coaches.
Okay, but listen, if you're weighing impact, if you go back to like,
I ain't gonna do that. Either you produced or you didn't produce. I mean, Kevin Durant produced. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, we can't do that. No, we can't do that.
That's exactly how it works.
But who y'all talking about?
The impact that Jimmy Butler has had on Miami since he got there in terms of taking his team to multiple finals, deep in the playoffs, it outweighs the impact of Kevin Durant on the Golden State Warriors, bro. Straight up, it outweighs that.
Talking about impact on winning games. Wow, 3 finals games.
It ain't about the wins and losses like you said, Mars. It's about the impact, right?
Just don't. What are we trying to impact? Wins and losses. So he's failing.
You can still lose and have a high level impact. More impact than a team than a player on a team that won. Yeah. Because roles are different, right? On even winning teams, roles are different.
Not top tier gifted.
The most impactful player on the winning team.
You know what? I think you're right. It might not be top tier. That shit might not be top tier. You're right.
That's how it works. Like, I don't know.
Bottom shelf.
Bottom shelf.
You can't be more impactful than the winning team when you lost. No,
the most impactful player on a winning team can still have less impact than the most impactful guy on a losing team. See, that's an interesting conversation, Mars.
He lost.
Huh?
Africa, you are 100% right, Africa. We understand what you're saying.
He's 1,000% incorrect.
With that being said, though, I want to go around the room and I want everybody to tell me, who do you believe is more impactful for winning? You put them on the same roster. You have Jimmy Butler, you got Kevin Durant. Who's going to be more impactful to winning? Which team's going to win more? Gifted, we'll start with you.
This is a career thing, KD. That's you know, he's impacted his spots more. Even though he might have flaws as a player, the sheer output in terms of his skill set and the way that he impacts offense and defense, he raises that play for you more consistently based on his career and what he's been able to do, especially at his peak, more than Jimmy for me.
Okay, chill. Who you got?
KD also, as good as Jimmy Butler was, and as impactful, quote unquote, as he was as a winner. I mean, that thing could have went the other way in Golden State. It's not like he jumped on a good team and they didn't win. Like he could have derailed that whole thing, but instead they kept rolling, and they ended up winning. So, and he was also winning when he was in. He didn't win the NBA championship, but they were making
winning
deep
in OKC.
They were making deep playoff runs in Oklahoma City. So he was absolutely doing that. So I have to say KD.
Young Africa.
Yeah, at their best, you would have to say KD, but I would say right now, I would give the two-way impact to Jimmy Butler more impact on winning straight up right now at this point in their careers.
Okay, Ox.
I would say in their most successful seasons. So if I were to go off the 2 championships that KD has and the 2 times that Jimmy went to the finals, I would judge off of those 2 seasons. Who had their fingerprints all over it more? Who had their footprint on it more? I would say Jimmy Butler had more of an impact on his team than Kevin Durant did on his team.
Ox, do the Golden State Warriors beat Cleveland if KD ain't on that roster?
I can't call it.
Ox.
I can't call it. Probably not. Probably not.
But they did beat them, and the reason why they beat them
primarily, I don't think they swept them though. You know, they swept them out. I don't think
the first year they beat them in 5, and then the next year they swept them.
Yeah, so I mean, with that being said, without KD, they either win in 7, might be the one they swept it without KD. They might win in 7, or you know what I'm saying.
KD don't get on that. I still think
it's not.
I still think that team, the Warriors, I still think they're closer without KD than Miami is without Jimmy. Like just to the level of success that each team had.
Yeah.
Without Jimmy, those Heat teams might not even make the playoffs.
Oh, they
you know what I'm saying? Without KD, those teams are still Western Conference Finals teams. So right. I think Jimmy had more impact on his teams than KD did on his. If that's the question I'm being asked, then yes, I think Jimmy had more impact. If you're asking me who's better, Kevin Durant or Jimmy Butler, you got KD.
Yeah, chill. The idea that the KD was the thing that put him over the top to beat the Cavaliers was not the case. I think a lot of players in that position that are all NBA level players would have helped the Warriors beat the Cavaliers in the finals as well. So it's not just KD. He obviously helped, but you didn't need that type of player to beat the Cavs.
They just needed Harrison Barnes to not be a terrorist.
That would be nice. That would be nice if he could have not been a terrorist in those finals.
He made him unbeatable. That's one of the greatest teams of all time, like straight up.
Does Jimmy Butler make that team unbeatable?
He helps unbeatable. I would say they win with Jimmy Butler. Yeah, they beat the Cavs. I don't know about unbeatable, but they win.
Yeah, they still win both of those championships if they have Jimmy Butler.
But are they beatable?
I think they're beatable for sure. Yeah,
they're beatable. That's only because it's prime LeBron James. I don't know.
So if we took. So, like you said, they may not have needed Kevin Durant to push them over the top. They just needed another. So, if they had DeAndre Jordan on that crew, you think they would have beat them?
DeAndre Jordan, that's not how they play basketball. I would say like Paul George or something.
Yeah, fact.
The reason why I'm saying that, the reason why I'm bringing him up is because I'm thinking about
if they had prime Andre Iguodala, they win.
Oh my God, prime Andre would be crazy.
Yeah, Philadelphia.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So because I'm thinking about an All NBA performer like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Young Africa. So I mean, with DeMar DeRozan, if they had him on that crew, would they have won it?
Loss.
Yeah,
DeMar.
You knew what you were doing with that one.
They win with DeMar.
By the way, I absolutely love DeMar DeRozan, but adding DeMar DeRozan on a team,
stop it, Gifted.
They win.
Y'all going too far. Y'all going too far with this.
They might lose in the second round.
No, they win both of those championships.
That Utah Jazz team,
boy, that Rockets team was crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Y'all doing way too much trying to discredit DeMar DeRozan. It's gone too far, bro.
No,
I'm not trying to discredit him. I asked this.
I'm only thinking about fit on the team.
I'm talking to Gifted and more specifically. I'm talking to Mars. More specific.
That defense is bad, bro. That defense is bad. Sorry.
Y'all are going too damn far.
Hey, chill. Why'd you say DeAndre Jordan, not like DeMarcus Cousins or somebody like that? Like that would have been a better example.
Well, the reason why is because you brought up an All-NBA performer, and DeAndre Jordan was an All-NBA performer.
But the problem with you bringing up DeAndre Jordan though is he can be all NBA all he wants, but in terms of how the Warriors play basketball, does he fit that the same way? Like I don't think that KD needed to be there for them to win. But having a wing that can knock down shots and play defense was pretty much the archetype. And KD just literally took that out of the park because it's Kevin Durant.
Well, he took out KD replaced where they
quite literally.
He replaced where they were deficient. They needed a wing scorer that could knock down an open shot and keep the defense honest. Harrison Barnes couldn't do that in the NBA Finals.
No, he could not.
Now, don't get me wrong. If I'm there's nobody that's saying no to replacing Harrison Barnes with Kevin Durant. Nobody's saying that, but I'm not. The thing that I'm thinking about is you're not just throwing anybody on that unit and they win it.
Right.
In terms of an All-NBA performer, that's not going to happen. Now you have to throw the right guy on that.
I think they could have run one, but
are we all under the impression though that team wouldn't win with DeAndre Jordan?
I'm not gonna say they wouldn't win.
That's ludicrous. I think DeAndre Jordan absolutely makes that team better.
Well, he gives them a rim protector that they didn't have.
Yeah,
they get to speed the game up, right? He gives them a rim. The defense gets even better.
Draymond,
so
Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala.
Yep.
Those are 4 of the top defenders in the NBA in Kerr's system. So we don't have to talk about defense. The defense would be definitely better, absolutely. And then you got a guy who's a lob threat. Curry lives in the paint. Draymond is amazing at throwing lobs. You got a guy that they're going to get in the paint and just throw lobs to all day. On top of that, offensive rebounds. It's a lot of threes that go up.
Chance
right?
points.
Second chance points. If you guys tell me that he wouldn't do a better job than any center that they've had, then
ain't nobody saying that. Ain't nobody saying that. Ain't nobody saying that.
If we take him off if we put DeAndre Jordan in and take Andrew Bogut off, do they still win it?
No.
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 Although technically in 2015, Andrew Bogut
got kind of hurt a little bit. Oh, okay. You know,
so I just want to see what you're saying. Are you saying that Andrew Bogut's better than DeAndre Jordan at that time?
No.
Andrew Bogut.
It's all the 50 with Golden State. It has nothing to do with talent.
Andrew Bogut's passing and screen setting. I mean,
the passes, the off-ball screens, understanding where to find these guys, how to give them the ball in the right spots. Like those are the things I'm looking at. And my thing, Ron, is I'm thinking about the best team they played with Kevin Durant was 2018 Houston Rockets. And I'm thinking DeAndre Jordan isolated on the perimeter from James Harden for 48 minutes.
Who was their center at that time?
Capella.
The Rockets center, I think it was Capella.
No. Who was the Warriors center that was isolated for 48 minutes?
Draymond.
They're going small ball.
Draymond was playing a 5.
Okay,
they'd run Draymond.
Draymond's still going to be at the 5.
Wasn't that called the death? Wasn't that called the death lineup? What was that? What lineup was it?
It was Steph, Andre, Clay. How am I working on the?
That's why I don't get why we hyping Bogut up as the
Steph,
like he
Clay,
didn't play that
Andre,
much.
Draymond, and
2015 he got benched, and in 2016 he got hurt. But in 2016 he was actually very valuable because rim protection was needed. 2015 was a bit of a different series because the Cavs had really no spacing anyway.
It's just true.
So you could afford to have Draymond roaming around and not have to play as big.
Which was also an adjustment for Steve Kerr because he saw that the Russian ended up canceling out Bogut, so he ended up going small, and knowing that the Russian couldn't cover him, couldn't cover anybody in terms of the perimeter. So now the Cavs had to go small, which that didn't help their bench because they weren't deep at all. They weren't that deep in 2015 . So
the Russian is Mozgov.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Mozgov, the Russian.
He's not in the league no more, right?
No, he
ain't been in the league in a minute. I think he was lost in the Lakers.
Even though I know it sounds crazy, Jordan paid him, I think, $30 million.
Nah, he did, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, Jordan did.
That's what's up.
All right, y'all. Track guy with the super chat said, "So I got a membership today, just for y'all to run Ticket up out of here."
Man, y'all gotta stop being soft. He left. It's okay.
I'm not gonna lie. Ticket had free will. He chose to leave.
He chose to leave. That's on him.
Y'all two are so.
Don't cry about it.
Yo, Bob, are these two Ticket's worst enemy, or is
These
it,
two
is it
right
these
here
two,
crazy.
or is it Shiloh and?
What did I just said he had free will and chose to
What did
leave.
we
I ain't even
do?
say
What
nothing.
did we do?
It's these two. They definitely like.
I ain't gonna
not
lie.
my fault that he-
All I said
they
was he had
like
free will. All I said
the
was he had
ruffians.
free
They
will.
like the ruffians some house party.
It's not my fault that Ticket can't handle the heat, bro. He calls me out of my name, all type of shit, and I don't care because I'm not soft. If you want to
Yo,
leave,
Mars,
See, I ain't say all that. I just
Mars
said
like
he
the
had
one
free will.
that was doing the punching. And gifted is the one talking about kick his fucking ass.
Hey, so look. The all defensive team for Ticket. We got Mars, Gifted, Shiloh. Yes, Africa, you're in there too. And then I guess we got to throw Beast Move on there too, just because they've had some back and forths. And then coaching, we're gonna put FYF as the coach.
That's funny. That's funny as shit.
Oh, that's a mean squad.
I'm gonna have
Hey,
Ticket
shout
join the
out to
stream one
Ticket,
time.
man.
It's just gonna be him
funny dude,
and all five of them.
The
Shout out to
chat getting
Ticket.
the spot on the Swine 5 is crazy with how they be hitting Ticket, but I guess.
Zero just vibing said, "Where's the PC content?"
We ain't recording a PC weekend content. I don't know your specs.
The PC weekend was the live stream, and then the couple of clips of us playing basketball. That
Yeah, I don't know what you guys.
Yeah, you missed that, buddy. That was already there.
Yeah, the PC weekend content's already out. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what you're asking for.
Is it?
What?
Yeah,
the live
yeah,
stream.
yeah.
That live stream we did.
2 live streams.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
the main like the main objective for PC weekend was Dub versus Bama 1-on-1. If y'all saw that was the highlight of PC weekend. So
yeah, that's why it was on like 3 different platforms. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did TikTok lives as well. Hey, stop complaining.
Man, we was putting in that work, man.
We did the whole weekend. We did from start to finish. We was serious. We wasn't playing.
Yeah, but on that note, content may be coming soon. May not be. You never know. Until then, you got the live streams.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ron, how many teams are we going to be talking about in terms of their championship window?
Right here, I have 6 teams.
Okay.
One of them best be Houston.
YSN Money said top 5 enforcers and top 5 players to never win a Finals MVP.
Top 5 enforcers.
Well, top 5 players to never win a Finals MVP would just be players with no rings, right?
Yes,
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
used to be
no,
Steph Curry,
what about D Wade? Oh, he got one. My bad. 06.
Yeah.
My bad. 06.
And if your team, and the majority of the time,
I guess you put Garnett on there.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bill Russell.
That's because the Finals MVP wasn't.
Hey, he had one chance to win it. It existed in '69. He ain't win it. So he's
that's because they screwed up.
That's fine. But he was eligible for a Finals MVP.
Yes,
won the championship, never won one. So he's one of the best players to never win one.
Yeah. I mean, if we're doing it that cut and dry, sure, I understand that. There's a lot more context to it than that.
Oh, are we talking about players that were in the finals?
Hilarious.
In the finals and didn't win it? Are we talking about players that were in the finals?
I think that's the best way to do it.
It's just the top 5 players.
Bill Russell, Kevin Garnett, Oscar Robertson.
Yeah, like Anthony Davis. He was in the finals and didn't win it. You know, he was close, I guess.
It's got to be.
It might be Anthony Davis based on how well he played that time.
And he was a top 3 player in the world, and
he was really good in the playoffs.
Malone.
We doing. I thought we was doing. It's got to be players that won a ring, though, right?
No.
Oh, I didn't think.
Yeah, Moses Malone won a Finals MVP.
Yeah, like Dr. J. He did he win a Finals MVP? I don't think.
No, he didn't. How about Doc? Yeah.
I don't think he did.
Dr. J is good.
Moses won it that year.
Oh, heavily deserved as well. Kareem
Manu should have got one.
Manu should have got one.
Facts.
I think we gave 5 names.
That should be sufficient.
All right, fellas.
Robinson,
Last super chat I'm gonna read before we get into this next segment from Teddy Hart. He said FIBA championships should be the only time we can truly call a team world champs. By the way, don't forget my other super chat.
We read your super chats.
World champions. Yeah.
Thanks, Teddy.
Technically, the best NBA team is the best team in the world, right?
Until they prove it. Not really.
Until they.
They got to beat the London Lions first.
Mm-hmm. Oh well, then technically, Team USA is the best team in the world, right? Every
that's
time.
why you call the international team the world champs.
Mm.
So
right,
wouldn't the NBA champ be the world champ, considering it's the best league on the planet?
Nah, because it doesn't prove it. Unless you play the other teams from the other leagues. No, you're just the best in that one league.
Champions League, yeah. Or technically, Team USA would beat the Denver Nuggets, right? Like technically.
Well, not even Team USA. So who won the EuroLeague last year?
It was Real Madrid.
So Real Madrid plays the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, we have to see it to see who the better team is.
I got my money on your shot, y'all.
Give me Denver.
You got your money on who, Ron?
Give me that Chacho.
We have to see it.
Wow.
Hey, if Real Madrid are anything like they
possibilities.
are in football, I got the Real Madrid winning easily.
El Chacho. Hey,
Nah,
Morris, what's that other team y'all got over there?
Come on,
Everywhere.
I just want to make sure I was.
Y'all got a team like a fox or something? Like not foxes, I don't know. I thought their mascot's like a fox or something in England somewhere. I don't know. Don't worry about it, Morris. Don't be
talking about basketball team in England.
Yeah, basketball. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, I got some teams for you guys, and I need you to let me know how long do you think that their championship window will last? How long will this team legitimately be able to compete for a championship? Or do they even have a championship window in your eyes? First team we're going to start with is none other than the Philadelphia 76ers.
Cooked.
Who's going first, Ron? You asking us all? Or we just jump in there?
I'm going to ask everybody. I want to start with Young Africa. Young Africa, how long does this team have a championship window, or do they have a championship window?
Look, I was high on Philly to start the season. I thought that they, had a good chance to go to the finals. I think this window is closing, that there's a little bit of space left, for the light to shine through the window. It's kind of like a quarter open. And I think that this is the season. This is the last season. If James Harden stays on the team, this is the last season for them to potentially get it done. And if they don't get it done, that window is closed.
Deal?
Don't you have to get to the championship to be a championship contender first? I mean, so Philadelphia, they haven't even proven that they could get to the conference finals. So the idea of that championship window closing, I don't even think it's open.
Potential. You can't have potential and just unrealized potential, Chip. You can't have it.
Not in this particular situation. No. You have to at least get to the you have to at least get to the conference finals, and then we can have a conversation about you being a championship contender. The Philadelphia 76ers right now are a playoff contender. That's it.
Playoff
championship window for the Sixers, according to Chill. Mars, how long is the
until Embiid leaves? Until Embiid leaves.
Okay.
However long that is.
My granny used to have this window. She used to be like, "Can you crack that window open a little bit to get a little breeze in here?" It gets real hot in the summertime, but it's got a good breeze from the rivers and whatnot. She'd be like, "Can you crack that window for me?" I used to try to, but the window, opening, I couldn't. It was just one of those windows that you could barely. It's old raggedy ass window.
The wooden window
about this much.
Was you trying to open it, Bob? Was you trying to open it?
I was trying my hardest, but the window that looks like the Philadelphia 76ers franchise. That window was never really open. That process, all they did was just crack it, let a little breeze in, come in. Ben Simmons had a mental breakdown. This window was shut, closed, sealed, to never be reopened again. Wow. That WD-40 wasn't working.
Okay. Gifted. What do you feel about the 76ers in a championship window?
Yeah, that shit cooked. I think for years and years and years, they have been a team that people expect to do something. And I think year in and year out, they always go out in the same round. I do want to say James Harden this year was really good during the regular season. I feel like he maximized Joel Embiid scoring at a high level. But ultimately, it's not on James Harden. It's on Joel Embiid for me, because year in, year out, he's shown that he cannot go 2 rounds in the playoffs fully healthy. There's always something wrong with him. And even when he is healthy this year versus the Brooklyn Nets, when he was healthy, it was not impressive basketball being played. They won, obviously. They were the better team. But even then, he didn't have like a dominant performance. And time again, when they literally are in a game 6 with 5 minutes left to go to the next round and beat that Celtics team, Joel Embiid could not get a basket. His excuse was, I couldn't get the basketball. How about you be the MVP and actually find a way to get it? I just don't think the roster build around him as well is potent enough. Like, people haven't talked about what they've done this offseason. They let go of good players, and they're getting older. Embiid, again, continues to get older. I just don't really see it. They fired their head coach. Nick Nurse is a great coach. Like, he's good. But where are the pieces to really maximize that team? I just don't see them over any of like the top teams in the East. Me personally, I think it's Cook, and I think Embiid will be asking out in 2 years. That's me.
Why would you let go of McDaniels and then go sign like Patrick Beverly? That's kind of weird, bro, from the Philadelphia 76ers.
Because that McDaniels brother is not as good as.
He's not as good as the other one. That is true.
He's not better than Patrick Beverly, though.
But he's also better than Patrick Beverly, sadly.
Yeah, he's better than
Beverly. Brings the intangibles, the mindset, the winning impact.
Right. The same intangibles that LA traded to make it to the conference finals. I agree with you. Yeah.
That's different because they traded many other people, not just Patrick Beverly.
Too much of Philadelphia's success is predicated on Tobias Harris. You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect to Tobias, I like Toby. You know, he's a hell of a player, but he's just not. He's not. What season was that? The year in Detroit or the year with the Clippers? He had that season.
It was the Clippers year.
The Clippers. Yeah. He's not gonna. That's not Tobias Harris.
But he's better
than the fourth option though. What? He's Mars, the fourth option on Philly. Like,
don't do this, Mars. I'm not trying to get.
He got the players that time averaging 20.
I'm not gonna get involved with you, Mars. He's not better than Andrew Wiggins, and we know he's not.
Yeah, he's not.
But with that being said, though, Tobias isn't going to be the guy to put him over the hump. He's inconsistent. He's a good player, though. I like Tobias, but he's.
Hey, come on. Where's a fourth option? Where's a fourth option in the NBA that's consistent that puts you over the top? I don't know how we're putting it on Tobias Harris. I think it's on Embiid. I think it's on coaching. I think it's on system.
But if Tobias is going to be the fourth option, it's too many times where Tobias has to be the guy. It's too many times where they need Tobias to come and give him 25, 26. Why? Because Joel Embiid can't get the ball because I guess Marcus Smart's is too good at fronting the post. I don't know what's
the series. That's another fact.
What's the deal? There's too many times where Ben Simmons is. I'm going back in the past. There's too many times where Ben Simmons couldn't score the ball. He was afraid to shoot. So Tobias has to be the second option of scoring. It's too many times where James Harden would have 42 last night and didn't have 0 points in the fourth quarter. So yeah, Tobias is supposed to be the fourth quarter, but it's too many times fourth option. I'm sorry, but too many times where he has to be the first option. Too many times where he has to be the second option. And Tobias Harris cannot do that. With all due respect to Tobias Harris.
Okay, so like I agree with those points, but can't you say that him having to elevate his play beyond a fourth option is the problem of the first and second options not performing at their levels?
It's everybody's problem. It's everybody's problem. It's the first. It's the first player. It's Joel Embiid's problem because he's letting the guy. He's letting the guy that's 6'1", 6'2", not let him get the ball in the post. I'm obviously harping on that. It wasn't just Marcus Smart. I know I'm exaggerating it, but he's not. He's saying he can't.
Nah, he did do that though.
But then why can't you get the
Marcus
ball?
Smart is 6
why can't you post up big? Why can't you hit somebody? Hey, give me a target and catch the ball in the mid block and go to work. Why can't you do that? So if he can't do it, now Tobias has to be the second option, and Tobias not him. So yeah, it's everybody's problem. It's
Tobias, not him.
I think definitely not him. They tried to trade him and they couldn't because his value is not that high. But like this team just does not have what they like. To me, to win a championship, you have to have versatility, a true number one option who can bend defenses, and you have to have some semblance of depth and a solid enough playoff rotation. And then at the end of it, some level of continuity. and we have no idea what the roster is even going to look like with James Harden wanting out. So I don't see it personally.
J-Dot spitting in the chat right now. Trusting the process was just a tactic by the Sixers to get Philly fans to praise losing.
Hey, we got people praising losing up here, so I guess
that's psychological war. That's psychological warfare if I ever seen it.
All right, fellas, let's move on to the next franchise that may or may not be praising winning. We're gonna actually go right up the street to New England, the Boston Celtics. How long is their championship window? Africa, I'm gonna start with you.
I personally think after resigning Jaylen Brown, for the duration of that contract, as long as they keep that core together, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, even the younger players on that roster too. I think they got many years, 4 years, possibly even 5 years. I think that's the type of situation where you don't, you're not impatient with that situation. They've had a lot of success early in their career. That they once they figure it out, and once they are that team that understands how to be more balanced and not be so reliant on your best players, they will be a championship team. So, 4 years, 5 years. The duration of Jaylen Brown's contract, I would say, pretty much.
All right, chill. What do you think about the championship window up there in Boston?
I think they were in the NBA Finals last year if Jason Tatum doesn't get hurt. I think they came in there ready to kick Miami's ass last night. The momentum was back on their side. They had come back from being down 3-0. When Jason Tatum got hurt, that just sucked all the energy out of the building. And that team had been in the NBA Finals the year before that. They're right on the doorstep. You need a lot of stuff to go your way in order to win the NBA championship. But I do think that they have the pieces with Robert Williams, who I've been watching. And I'm not a big fan of guys because I've seen Ben Simmons working on his game in the summertime and it didn't correlate to the league. But I've actually been watching Robert Williams in the summertime, and he's been working on his pick and pop game. He's been working on his mid-range game. So maybe that's something that he can add to his offense with the Boston Celtics. And if he could do that, that's going to make them even better. I think their championship window is open wide.
Okay, cool. Mars, Boston, championship window.
6 years. Sounds about right. 6 years. Logic being, just real quick, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is already a championship window. I think they can make deep postseason runs, make the finals, win a ring. And I also believe if they do want to move off Jaylen Brown, he has enough trade value to where they can get back pieces that would keep their championship window open for the foreseeable future. Jason Tatum's prime, I think he's at 24, 25. So
25, yeah.
So yeah, I'll go 6 years for Boston's championship window.
Okay. Ox, what you thinking?
Not only are the Celtics going to win the championship this year, but they are also going to control the NBA for the next 5 seasons. The next 5-6 seasons belong to the Boston Celtics. I'm not saying they're going to win all those championships, but the next 5-6 years belong to Boston for sure. So their championship window could be as long as 7-8 years. Honestly.
So in the Eastern Conference, Big Ox, what you're telling me is that in the next 5 years, the road to the NBA championship goes through Boston.
Oh yeah, you got to go. It's cold as shit up there in the wintertime. You got to go up there. If you want the East, you got to get up there and go get it because
you got to go through Boston.
The Boston, it's Boston's, especially these next 3 seasons. These next 3 seasons are going to be treacherous. Like I said earlier, I think Giannis is coming out like a terrorist this year, but they don't got what it takes to beat Boston. Philly doesn't got what it takes to beat Boston. Even if Dame goes to Miami, they're probably not going to beat Boston. Yeah. It's their league for the next 5-6, man.
Okay. Gifted. Do you agree with anybody up here? Do you have a different stance?
This might be different. I think supermaxing Jaylen Brown and eventually having supermax Tatum puts them in a tough spot because you then have 2 players making up 70% of the cap, 35% each per player. Mm-hmm. And I think it puts more pressure on them to win right now because their roster of good players with White, Horford, maybe Porzingis right now, like is predicated on them not having those contracts in place. But once 2 or 3 years pass and then you have Jaylen Brown making nearly $70 million and Tatum making more than him, you're not going to have the surplus of talented players there. Mm-hmm. And the younger teams in the East who might not be relevant now, who are coming, like the Pacers, maybe the Cavs or whoever are going to be better in that time. So for me, this puts more pressure on Boston to win now. I think Tatum and Brown have to improve their deficiencies if they want to win. Jaylen Brown, to me, isn't like a top 25 player. And to get into that real echelon of like producing, he has to become a better defender. He can't be, in a playoff series getting cooked off of the ball and on the ball by not Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus. Like, these guys were giving him real problems. And if he's not going to play make on top of that, it's untenable. And what a lot of people don't understand is by trading Marcus Smart, not only do you lose defensive versatility, but he was also another ball handler, playmaker guy on that team. Now the passing's kind of thin. So to me, I wouldn't really say 2 years, but they're young, so I can understand if you say 3 or 4.
I think it's clearly they. Oh, go ahead. But personally, I think Porzingis, what they gained from Porzingis, they still got Derek White, who can be a secondary ball handler. They still got Malcolm Brogdon, who can be a secondary ball handler. So I think the playmaking is okay. I personally think that what they gained from Porzingis, and inevitably, if they have to match up against a team like the Denver Nuggets in the finals, they are best suited to match up with the Denver Nuggets with a guy like Porzingis that can also stretch the floor and be a 7-foot big on Jokic and at least match size with size. So. I think they gained more than they lost with Marcus Smart in Porzingis.
No, I think the Marcus Smart trade was a good trade because they got like good value back, great draft capital to trade in the future, which is good for them, obviously. Right. And I do think that Porzingis adds a different dynamic that we haven't seen. Like, Porzingis is a shooter you have to guard. Like, Al Horford can shoot, right? But teams in the playoffs were fine with letting him shoot those shots. Porzingis is not only a knockdown spacer, but he's also a movement shooter as well off of the pick and pop. So that is good.
But with that being said, we have to take under consideration where they got Robert Williams at. They got Robert Williams in the draft in the second round. They got Williams, who they just lost this year, but they had him for quite a while. They got him late in the first round. So they're drafting well. And you brought up the idea of supermaxing Jaylen Brown. Well, remember, those guys like Robert Williams, they still have him on a cheat. I think they got him for 3 more years, right? And they ended up having Williams for the amount of years that they had him. So with that being said, drafting well, you're still going to have these guys on the cheat. And that's that window that we're talking about. So they got this guy from out of Arkansas, Walsh. Walsh looks like he's going to be a key contributor to what they're doing.
Nice.
I don't love Jason Tatum as my primary ball handler. I'm not my primary playmaker. I don't love that. However, I do think that they could supplement that with changing the offense a little bit more. And I think that they will do that. So within that championship window, with signing Jaylen Brown and signing Jason Tatum to the deals that they signed them to, they can still finagle around the cap where they end up drafting well, but we don't have to pay guys as much as other teams would who are trying to win quickly, because we still have these guys under the cap.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make, Chill. And like,
after this, we got to move on to the next team. But you
sure.
My fault.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Chill. I think that's a great point. I bring up the cap because it's limiting them to have to be better in that way. If you don't get guys outplaying the value of their contracts, it's going to be harder for them to succeed. I think Boston should be trying to make a trade for Mike Conley. I think Conley fits in perfectly to everything they really want to do. But Chill.
I've been talking about Mars. Who I've been talking about?
I'm not gonna lie. Chill's been pushing the mic on.
Pick up the telephone and call up Minnesota. Ask them.
I'm pushing that. Yeah.
Hand them over.
I'm really not mad at that.
Pick the telephone up and call up Minnesota.
Before we move on to the next team, I do want to mention that it is one hurdle or one obstacle that could be in place in Boston's road to the championships and just their championship window, and that's Tatum's contract. When his contract ends, who knows? He may not want to go back to Boston. Anything can happen. So I do want to.
I think he loves it up there.
I think he probably stays too, but that also is a wrinkle in the road. You just never know how that.
Now that's fair, Ron.
Yeah, it is.
But moving along, we're gonna go out west. I got a team out west for you guys, and it's actually the team that the Celtics played in the championship last year, the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, my squad up here. Okay.
Uh-oh.
How are we feeling about the Golden State Warriors and their championship window? Young Africa, you talk to us first.
Hey, honestly, that window is closed, man. That window is closed. Straight up. I think that Steph Curry being such a great player makes it look like his great performances, having amazing games in the playoffs, makes it look like they got a chance. But I think the NBA has caught up and even surpassed what they were doing. They revolutionized the game. They've actually made the game more entertaining on a 3-point level, at least. But their defense isn't as good as it was. I don't think getting Draymond Green back is going to be that great defensive impact that he has had, even though he makes him better when he than not being on the court. And then losing Jordan Poole. Like missing on James Wiseman, like certain things that they've done has hurt them in recent times. So I would say that they're out of the window, and that's a crazy thing to say. But Wiggins, like how much better does Wiggins have to be? How much does he have to grow for their window to reopen or be open, still open? I would say, and I think that's outside of his capacity to be that good of a player. So I don't think
Young Africa doesn't have to sugarcoat. The reason why he's saying that so reluctantly, because they still got Steph Curry. That's why he's still saying that so reluctantly. I'm gonna be candid and I'm gonna be absolute. I think their championship window is closed. I think you've seen the best of the Golden State Warriors. I think that with losing what they lost and Steph Curry getting up in age, I mean, he's still playing at an elite level, but I think that we're overstating. I think we overstating how good Klay Thompson is. I think we overstating how good the rest of that core is. And I think that a lot of the teams in the Western Conference have caught up with them. And I think that their championship window, I think it just closed. I don't think it's been closed. I think it just closed. I'd be really surprised if they won the NBA championship again. With this core, I'd be really surprised.
Mars?
I want to ask Chill, you think the window's closed? So if they were to win next year, where does Steph Curry go all time for you? Based on the fact that you don't think they are good enough to win, where would he go all time? Because I know you said he's behind Kobe at 11. I mean at 12.
I got him at 12.
So does he jump Kobe? Does he get in the top 10 based on the fact that you don't think they really are a championship level team?
Hold up, wait, chill. Wait. Let me put you in a tight zone. You are in a hot seat.
No, I'm not. Absolutely not. Because Mars made a really interesting point. Because at 35 years old, and with the injury history that he's had over the course of his career, and to now come back and win the NBA championship, that means that I don't think that he's playing. If they win the NBA championship this year, he's not playing good. That means he's playing at an MVP level, which means that he's an all NBA performer again, which would now make this at I believe a decade, close to a decade, 8 or 9 years, close to a decade, and to win the NBA championship 5 times in 8 seasons? Win the NBA championship 5 times in 8 seasons. As the man, by the way, win the NBA championship, he took a back seat to KD. He still was the best player on that team. He took a back seat to KD. But with that being said, win the NBA championship 5 times in 8 years, playing at an all NBA performance level, and to win the finals MVP, because he's got to do that too, Mars. He's got to be the best player in the championship series. To do that, man, it would be hard to keep him out the top 10. It would be really hard.
You couldn't keep him out the top 10.
It'd be really difficult for me to keep him out the top 10. I'm telling you, man. I just don't. I'd be surprised. It'd be hard to keep. I would have to shuffle that top. I would have to shuffle the. I would have to shuffle 8, 9, and 10. I would have to shuffle that because it with his resume at that point and what he did, it'd be hard to keep him out the top 10, Mars. Man.
But let me ask you, Mars, like how good does, we obviously know Curry got to be amazing, but how good does Wiggins have to be for their window to still be open, and how good does he have to play straight up?
Oh, I think they're packed up. I don't think
packed up?
Yeah, I think they're done.
Even if Wiggins has the best season of his career and balls out?
Yeah, I think they have a cap on how far they can go. I think they're just at this point with the current roster construction, I think they're not a great matchup for teams like the Lakers if they run into them. I think they're okay for Denver, but I think defensively Denver would just rip them to shreds because Klay Thompson is not who he used to be. Draymond Green is starting to slow down. Andrew Wiggins can guard Jamal Murray, but his screen navigation isn't particularly great, and that dribble handoff's probably going to kill him as well. So I think they're just not at the level anymore offensively where they stand out amongst the rest where they used to, and defensively I still think they can be a good defense, maybe a top 5 caliber defense, but I don't think they can be good enough to get out the West. And then if they do, I think teams like the Bucks teams like Boston are also probably still better teams than them. So I think they're packed up. I'm not gonna lie. But 4 rings in 8 years, I mean, pretty good.
Ox, how do you feel about the Warriors championship window?
When I saw this first round playoff series against us, and the fact that Steph had to go off for 50 in Game 7 just to get out of that first round against us, that right there shows me, yes, I think it's pretty much done for them. But seeing what Steph did in that Game 7 made me feel like, I mean, they do got Steph Curry, so anything's possible because they got Steph. I'll say that anything's possible because they got Steph, but nah, bro. I think it's pretty much done for them.
Chill, and I didn't realize that Steph Curry's 35 too.
Yes, sir.
That's
35 years old. He'll be 36 next year.
Old ass man.
That's a grandpa in dinosaur years.
We're gonna need to start talking about the Steph Curry PEDs.
His game will age nicely though. You know, the shooting's not going to fade away. So
yeah, that off-ball movement's going to slow down.
It is going to slow down. Yes, it is. But I think
it'll slow down.
I think he got 2 more years at this level before he starts to segue into just the primary long ball shooter and not doing anything else, like what Ray Allen did almost.
You think he'll turn into a spot?
Yes,
I think he'll still turn into a more pure point guard. That's what I think.
Well, the reason why I'm having an issue with that is because he's going to have to defend, and because that off-ball movement is going to slow down. That also means that him slowing down athletically, he's going to have to deal with other point guards that are just going to run circles around him at 37, 38 years old. I think his game with it's going to be difficult to do that. It'll be difficult to do that in the playoffs. Difficult.
I agree.
The way Steph shoots the ball, he can play as long as he wants to.
Yo, Gifted. Warriors championship window. How do you feel?
Pack up your team, man.
And by the way, take that Warriors hat off, Gifted. I need you to keep the analyst hat on. Take the Warriors hat off.
Shit off.
I can't even get the opportunity to let y'all see where I'm gonna go. I need you
to pack your team up.
We can't risk it, Gifted. Take that shit off.
Okay. I want to be clear. I view basketball the same way, regardless of what team it is. So for my team, I'll say this. Last year was a very turbulent season. Jordan Poole regressed as a player. He was really bad on defense. Andrew Wiggins is very durable, but he got injured last year and then missed, I'm pretty sure the last 25 games based on the off the court, stuff. Yep. But what flies under the radar is Steph was the MVP caliber player last year. I mean, almost 50, 40, 90 on 30 points per game. And then in the playoffs, he raised his play. But ultimately, the construction around a team to me is not great. Draymond is getting older. I'm concerned about his commitment to the offensive end. He did say on, I think, Paul George's podcast that his confidence when playing with KD, Steph, and Clay wasn't really there because he felt like these guys can shoot the ball at such a high clip, and he got injured. So him getting back to being an offensive plus is there. My biggest issue though is I think winning a championship is very hard to do if your 4 and 5 men are non-spacers. The fact that this team was able to beat the Boston Celtics where their 4 and 5 were offensive negatives is very surprising. I think for this Warriors team, adding Chris Paul doesn't do them any favors because I think Chris Paul and Draymond are so redundant to me because Draymond's best value is to have the ball in his hands, play, make, set off-ball screens. Chris Paul is at the point of his career where he's not going to set off-ball screens, and he's best maximized with the ball in his hands. So seeing him play with Clay and Steph, it sounds good offensively, but defensively, they're going to get cooked with that lineup, I think. And they don't really have front court depth either outside of Kevon. They're not that tall. But I do give hope for them from the perspective that you traded Poole for Chris Paul to get the expiring money off of the books, which tells me they might be gunning for a star in the very next year. This season, I don't think they are a tier 1 team, but I think having Steph Curry on the roster, if he's able to play more basketball games, they can still be a very good regular season team. But in terms of going all the way through to the finals and winning everything, it's harder for me to see that right now. I'm not going to say the championship window is closed, but it's very, very narrow considering the current roster construction right now, in my opinion.
All right, y'all.
Steph Curry did miss 26 games last year too.
He did. Yes,
that's important to mention.
The next team that I want to get to, still out west. Let's go to the desert. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns. Do they have a championship window? And if so, how long is it open?
I'm out, Bob. I'm out, Bob. I'm out.
Are you out? You out, Chill?
I'm out.
I think this is hard for me because I'm trying to ask myself.
Hold that thought, Gifted.
Sure.
Hold that thought, Gifted.
Sure.
Young Africa.
Yeah.
Phoenix Suns. Interesting team, right? So they got KD at the end of his prime or later in his prime. They got a guy in Devin Booker who's about to enter his prime or has entered his prime, and DeAndre Ayton that has not yet. It's like different levels, a lot of players in different points in time in their career. Bradley Beal entering. I really think it's definitely open. So the window is open. We cannot deny that it's open, and it might just be open for 2 seasons, man. I'll give a maximum this season, next season, and that's about it. But I actually like the pickups. I'm actually more high on them than maybe other people in terms of Ball getting picked up. I like that. I know a lot of people hate on Ball, but I like the addition of Ball. I think if you haven't got defense like the Denver Nuggets showed this year, at least just have some size out there to just bother teams and just be big out there and rebound at a high level. And so I think Ball can help that. You can play KD at the 3, Ball at the 4. You can play Aiden at the 5. I think they can do that, and they're gonna be an amazing offensive team. And the best way to beat the Nuggets, I think, in the Western Conference is like you got to outscore them to a certain level, even though you got to play defense. But you got to really be able to put up 130 as well. And Phoenix Suns will be the best offensive team in the NBA, I expect. And so their window is open this season, next season, and it's wraps after that.
2 years.
So,
all right, Ox, I got you next. How you feel?
Oh yeah. I man, I don't like stacking the deck, but I love this team. I like the pickups with specifically I like the picks with Bobo, Keita Diop, what's his name? Yuta Watanabe? Watanabe.
Yeah.
I like that pick. I mean, there was one more guy, Eubanks, and there was one more guy they got that I really
Eric
liked.
Gordon.
Oh shit, I forgot about Eric Gordon. It wasn't him. It was another guy. I like the squad. Definitely.
You talking about Drew Eubanks?
No, I said Drew Eubanks.
Okay.
I think didn't they grab another
Wainwright?
Is TJ still there?
Oh no, they picked up Chimezi
Metsu. I was upset. I was upset that we lost Chimezi Metsu. So if I'm upset that we lost him, I gotta like him over there, right? I like the squad they put together. I would say, but still, even with saying I like the squad, I'm only gonna give them 1 season. I guess you got to give them 2. But I think this year is going to show because I feel like it's either black or white. There's no in between. There's no gray area when you put a team like this together. So it's either going to be really good or it's going to be embarrassing. So I'm gonna give them 1 season. I think they got. Well, I guess they got 1 season to show us something. But I figure way it's constructed, we'll give them 2 years as far as a window being open. Yeah, so 2 years is my answer. I'm with you on that one.
The bright spot on Phoenix is their best player is Devin Booker, who's only 26 years old. So the fact that he's 26 years old, he's still got some years. He's still got some good years left. The problem that I'm having is that him and both Bradley Beal play the same position. We don't have a primary ball handler. We don't have a primary playmaker. We don't have a decision maker. We don't have any of those things. And the reason why this crew got together is because when the playoffs start, and how deep are they going to go? When the playoffs start, the game is going to slow down. You need a floor general. You need somebody who's going to control the pace. You need somebody who is going to calm us down. You need somebody who is going to get us together when things get helter-skelter. They don't have that. Add that to the fact that Kevin Durant, who now I believe he'll be 35. He'll be 35 on opening night, who has over the last 4 years broken down significantly, and he's going to do that again. No matter how they manage him, he is going to break down again this season. So with that being said, they're looking at a top maybe 5 seed in the West, which means that they're going to have to see somebody really good in round 1, which means they could get bounced in round 1 simply because the way that they play and the fact that they haven't been together long, it's not going to match up. It's not going to match up, and because of that, I think that the Phoenix Suns, their window to win the NBA championship is closed.
All right, Mars, how do you feel about the Phoenix Suns championship window?
1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin Booker is not the best player on the team, but Wanya.
Who's the best player on that team? You think it's Kevin Durant? At 35 years old, coming into this season, you still think he's the most talented player on the crew? I won't fight that, but you still think he's the best player on that team?
Yes, I think Kevin Durant is better than Devin Booker. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Gifted, how long is the Phoenix Suns championship window? Or is there a championship window?
Whew. I gotta say, off the firepower, you have to say that there is some type of window, but I'm not too high on getting all of these star players, especially with Bradley Beal, that still has a no trade clause. So if things go south and they want to trade him, he can literally control where he goes.
Nope.
So I'm not as high, but I will say, considering where they are, they did get some good talent to fit in and play roles, but I still think this team has a lot of holes and flaws. I'll probably say 2 years, I think. And I'm with Mars. I think KD is still the better player, but I do think Booker definitely outplayed him terribly. And if that trend continues, they're definitely not going to win.
Which is fair. And we still, like you just said, we've got question marks. What is going to happen with DeAndre Ayton? How is he going to be used? How effective is he going to be being used the way he's going to be used? Are we going to have issues internally with the role that he has, right? And the rotate. I think they did a good job in terms of their rotation, but I think
really value guys they got. Yeah.
But I think they have way more questions at the top of their roster than at the bottom. Way more.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. We got a few super chats that I'm gonna go ahead and run down. Open Gym is coming next. Make sure to stick around. They got a very entertaining episode today, I assume.
Ron, I got to bounce, brother. But
all right, chill.
I will see you dudes tomorrow.
All right, chill.
Mars, fellas,
peace.
Later.
All right, let's get into it, fellas. Let's get into it. Lee Av Star became a member. Shout out to Lee Av Star. Tay FYB said, is it possible to make an argument that Clay is over Scotty?
No. Fuck
next
no.
question.
Next
question.
No.
Eli the Misfit said, that's why Bob be so clean.
Self-make-a-toy. I better get with it.
Ethan Hines said, big philosopher Bob.
I've been called Confucius.
Eli the Misfit also said, Villanova players play at such a great pace.
That's a
Try
fact.
Jalen Brunson, man.
Football CF Candy said, if Embiid plus Wemby team up for France, it's over for real.
I got a couple bigs over there in France.
Man, Embiid need to stay loyal to the motherland, man. Stay loyal to the motherlands, bro.
That shit cooked.
When he starts playing for France, he's no longer an African player, man.
Yeah.
So
You're a rap for that.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
Saya with the super chat said, can they make a rule that to be an Olympic team, they have to be in the FIBA team to keep continuity?
I'm sure they could if they wanted.
Might not end well though.
Yeah, I don't think it will go great, but they could.
Uncle Ruckus with the super chat said, who would have benefited the most if the Nets won a chip? KD, Kai, or Harden? If KD won Finals MVP, would that have been as big as Bron winning with Cleveland?
It'd be Harden, I would say. He's the only one without a ring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Might be Harden. I want to say KD, but I feel like people wouldn't give him the respect because he built another super team. So I don't know. I want to lean Harden though.
All right, fellas, moving along. Wisdom Warrior said, where KD been the last 4 seasons compared to Jimmy?
Brooklyn and Phoenix.
It means where he's been at in the playoffs, like where he's been, like they've been looking for him, Mars, in the playoffs.
1 year he was hurt. Then the next year he played in Milwaukee and lost. Then the next year he played against Boston and lost. And then this year he played against Denver and lost.
All the teams that made the finals, right? That's interesting too. That's interesting. All in a row.
So just so we understand, so 2021 he lost to Milwaukee. Jimmy Butler also lost to Milwaukee. 2022 he lost to Boston. Jimmy Butler also lost to Boston. 2023 he lost to Denver. Jimmy Butler also lost to Denver. So that's what he's been. not losing to the Saints.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Dub, we need you to host the show while Ron's not here. There you go.
Do you have any more super chats? Because
Here you go, Dub.
Who is the best player on Team USA? I think it's Ant, but some people will argue for Jalen Brunson or Bi. To me, Ant proved he was the number one last night.
There you go.
He wasn't the best player last night, but I digress.
Oh well, the host is back.
Gifted, you're lucky as hell. I wasn't able to pull up.
I know, Dub. Yes, sir. I beat that case.
It's hard to say. The most talented player to me, I think it was Brandon Ingram. I don't know who the best player was, though. It's tough.
All right,
The best player is Jaron Jackson.
Jose Primo said, "You know who his real worst enemy?"
To my ticket. He thinks he's Ticket's worst enemy.
Who is Ticket's worst enemy?
I
know.
Whoever he dislikes the most that day.
I know.
Why are we acting like Ticket got so many enemies, man? Ticket loved in the basketball community, man. Stop it, man. Ticket got too many fans out here, bro. He loved.
Niken McGill said, "Gifted a professional ticket hater." Maybe it's Gifted.
Professional ticket hater is funny to me.
Mars, who won, Ticket or Gifted today?
We're on the same team, Dub.
Ticket left. So
yeah, he said, "I can't talk basketball with you," and then quit. So
and then went live on his channel. So if you're if you're interested in some Kobe versus Michael Jordan debates, I've been in the chat of his live for a while. Just
Gifted, you lucky, Brad. You lucky.
Am I lucky or am I gifted? Which one?
That's a good one. I'm actually not bad at it, but you're lucky I couldn't pull up this morning, bro.
Oh, Dub, definitely.
And by the way, this Sunday, we will be doing FYF versus PC.
What time is that, Ron?
It's at 12 Pacific.
Okay. Yeah, you better be there, Dub. I better see you there, Dub. I better see you there. Loki, I better see you, Dub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Young Africa, you're in it.
Huh? I am.
Who's the matchups?
It's King of the Court, Dub. It's winner stays on.
Oh, last time.
Yeah, you get a bucket, you stay on.
Word.
And what does the winner win? What does the winner win?
The prize will be revealed soon.
Okay.
That means there is no prize.
Yeah, it's gonna be bragging rights.
Kai said, "This L host better read my last super chat."
Is that Kai?
Unfortunate that the time is running out, so Kai, I'm not gonna be able to get to that super chat. Maybe the next one though. Some guy named Pirate McCall became a member. Shout out to Pirate.
Gifted, you want to pull up to Open Gym?
Is that right now?
Right after this.
Okay, but I could probably pull up for like an hour or two. Sure.
Word.
RMP said start bench cut scoring champs 2014 KD, 2019 James Harden, and 2006 Kobe.
06 Kobe.
Start Kobe, bench Harden, cut KD.
Kobe plays 48 minutes.
If that's an option too.
Gifted Africa.
What was that start bench cut?
Kobe, Harden, KD, scoring titles 14, 19, 06.
Off the top of my head, probably gonna start Harden, bench KD, cut Kobe.
What?
That's an open gym topic right there. That's an open gym topic right there.
Hey, send him to hell, Ron.
Hey,
I'm going Kobe, KD.
I know Ron not fucking with that.
I'm cutting Harden on that list. I'm cutting Harden.
And now y'all know exactly what's gonna kick off Open Gym.
That's a terrible take.
Yeah, maybe.
And on the way out, I'm gonna let one of you guys take care of this. Start bench cut. Dumars, Drexler, Reggie. Who wants to bench?
Dumars. Bye, Dumars, bro. I'm sorry,
Dumars
man.
getting cut. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
All right.
Defense is moving me, bro. Reggie out of here.
You know where to find us at the same time tomorrow, same place tomorrow, maybe the same crew. You never know who's gonna pop up. You never know if Ticket's gonna be here. You never know if he's not gonna be here. You never know if it's gonna be Shiloh, be Smooth. You never know if somebody's gonna be here to run Ticket out the room. You just never quite know. But you know where we gonna be. You know,
I never drink and drive and never quit on your team.
All right, y'all. We out of here.